have. There's been enough witness accounts. Even some of the soldiers have given semi-confirmations of what's happened. That they've definitely put a more positive spin on things. And crucially, you've also befriended a local citizen by the name of Eugenia. You have decided that you are going to try and depose the evil and villainous Major, but you've got some difficulty in doing it at this stage. The Commodore wants to be able to get close to the Major and potentially also ingratiate himself in the opinions of the other officers, of which you think maybe one, maybe none, are going to be people who may be swayed over to your side in the coup, though your intelligence on that is far from firm. The Commodore has proposed getting close to the Major by leading an expedition to the potentially chemically, biologically, or radiologically ridden city where all of the Soviet supplies in the region are thought to remain, grab the fuel, come back, and impress the Major. In the meantime, Gavriel, who had been shot in the legs and is substantially recovered, but nonetheless he's still sore, is remaining behind to attempt to gather more information and to perhaps persuade some of the troops over to supporting some kind of a coup.
Yep, that's it. Nothing else.
Absolutely. Okay.
I was just agreeing with you.
Yep, indeed. I'm just checking something.
I know you. You have other plans.
What? No.
Okay. So we're going to start with the Commodore's group. First of all, you're setting off in the morning, so everybody can take off a tick of physical and mental damage / stress. You're not being resupplied with any new ammunition, any new gear, save for 2 rations worth of food and water. If you already have 2 rations worth of food and water, you will not be given any more.
I'm gonna try getting out to roll 20. If I'm still having a problem, will you be able to handle things for my end?
We can absolutely do that.
Alright.
This one I'm just going to take.
Okay. Good news. Finally, my internet's gonna work with me. Finally.
Okay. So, Commodore, is there anything you and your team, which is everyone except Gavriel, is there anything you wish to do before riding out to Sezdashala?
No, I don't know if anyone else wants to do anything, but he'll be at the vehicle ready to go when the rest of the group will be getting there. He'll be up there early.
Okay.
Waiting.
Anybody else have anything they particularly want to do or say at the last moment before heading out?
Just want to make things clear to make sure there's no breakdowns.
Or make sure things are clear in the vehicle.
Yeah, just making sure.
Yeah,
making triple sure.
Yeah. Give me a tech roll, just flat. If for whatever reason you... Yeah. If for whatever reason
Which
you get...
vehicle are they taking? The
Okay,
APC?
that's... The M113, it's the only one you've got.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, you look at it. There's nothing currently wrong with the vehicle that makes you think, oh, this is about to break. But you haven't made it more hardy than normal, say. So it's as likely as it is to break when it was normally operating, but there's certainly nothing wrong with it at the moment.
Okay.
Okay. You know that you've got relatively poor fuel. You're going to have enough fuel to get there, but you might not have enough fuel to get back unless you find some. That's obvious, but there's no way of solving that whilst being here. All right. So, you'll clamber into the vehicle, shy of Sergeant Gavriel, and you start heading towards Sezdashala. The only way that you can possibly do this is to go via Crezpiece, otherwise you'll definitely run out of fuel. Do you want to drive through Crezpiece, or do you want to detour and go around it cross-country?
He's thinking about that. He's gonna add up the numbers for the fuel and the before heading out to the numbers for the fuel to see if we can actually make it around. If not, then he's gonna ask permission to go through the city.
You've got enough fuel to make it around.
Okay, yeah. So he's gonna go around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a flat driving roll. Okay, that's excellent. You managed to drive around without any difficulty. You don't bog down, you don't throw a track or anything along those lines. You're fine. Do you want to hook around to the north or to the south?
The north.
Okay. So, I'll just take the token. So you trundle up around the north, around this route, and you come down here. And you get back on the road roughly at the same point when you cross a clearly long disused railway line. And it's at that point that you realise that you are now at the, how to phrase it, the return point of your fuel. So if you turn around now and go back to Praska, you'll make it. If you go any further, you won't. This is that threshold. You've definitely got enough fuel to get to Sestashauer.
Well, we're in it for the long haul, so we might as well continue.
Okay. As you approach the city of Sestashauer, it's much as it was before. I'm accidentally picking up X there. There we go. As you approach the edge of the city of Sestashauer, it's much as it was before. As you're driving along, you can see that the cart that you previously found with the tattered bones of whatever animal was drawing it still in the harness, lying at the side of the road, it's still there, untouched, unmoved. Do you want to drive straight into the city? Do you want to attempt to dismount and walk in? Do you want to scout around the edges?
He's gonna ask, oh damn it, Sorrel's not here. If he's listening. Okay, yeah. So Sorrel, and he's gonna go Dawson and Starburslow. Can you do some scouting?
Right. I'll see what I can do.
Excellent. The two scouts can make me unmodified recon rolls.
Right. Rolled.
Excellent. You got a success. I'll just see if Sorrel. Okay, so Dalton, he goes out. He has a very careful look, a little closer than you all were before. He doesn't see anything particularly noteworthy. The city and the suburbs that you're looking at the moment are very much as you would imagine. It's lots of heavily battle-damaged buildings, homes that are tumbled down. Some of them have clearly been burnt out by fires that got out of control and have long since petered out into nothing. There is evidence of more severe damage here than in other areas, but not absolutely overwhelming. However, Draco Soboslaw sees something additional, which is that in amongst some of the houses, you occasionally see little signs of movement. You don't have at this range anything more than just movement, but there's definitely a couple of things moving around inside the buildings, and it tends to be very stop, start, spurt style movement, not slow, gradual movement.
Something on? What's up?
Sorry, what was that?
Sorry, like something. I just saw the comments of what Zarel's saying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. So once this is pointed out to
Yes.
Zarel, I'll just or to Dalton, he looks at it through his scope. Give me another recon roll, but flat. Essentially just another chance, because you're looking at something that someone else has pointed out to you.
Oh.
Okay. So, Dalton, you look through the scope at a window or a building, a door that was pointed out to you as a sign of movement, and you see nothing in it. Eventually, Draco might say, "Oh, that's like over there," and point out another window. But by the time you pan over to it, whatever it is that Draco saw is gone. It's whatever's moving. It's clearly not hanging around, and it definitely doesn't want to be in the open. Is this related to the rest of the team?
Yes.
Okay, Commodore, and indeed Dr. Engstrom, you've just been told about these darting, moving figures, shapes that appear to be there. What's your reaction to this? Oh, my apologies.
Right. The one thing we don't need is more people being scared right now of us. And he's actually looking through the stuff that's at the... Because we may need some of the... Is there fuel at this wagon?
No, it's a donkey-drawn cart.
Okay. Because... we may need some of the ammo. Just in case.
Yeah, it's laden with supplies, all still lying there.
We might as well pick up the supplies.
Fantastic. It's clearly all Soviet supplies, but yeah, nonetheless, some of it still works. So roll for me a D100, and this is a rough indication of just how amazing the supplies are. High is good, low is bad. 36. Okay. So some of it you're sort of moving through. Some of it you're thinking, nah, this is just food that's clearly gone out of date, or water that's been sitting around for far too long. Can't trust that. Can't trust that. This is rusted through. But you do eventually manage to pull out. Let me see. I'm going to say 1 belt's worth of PKM ammunition and 4 magazines worth of AK-74 ammunition with an AK-74. And I'm just going to look up the various calibers of that.
He's actually going to be putting it in the truck, so if anyone wants to use it, they've got a gun to use.
Okay, does anyone want to take dibs on any of that ammunition immediately?
Monster Gam could take it. I'm not. I'm looking at her gear right now, and apparently she has an AK, but I do not remember her having one. So
I mean, my character also has an AK-74 as well.
it's probably something Gabrielle like gave me for 2 seconds, then took back after it
Yeah, I
wasn't
think
needed.
Yeah.
I think both of you
That's
had the
probably what it
same.
is. I'm
Both of
gonna
you had
take
the
it off.
same rifle for like a minute, and then I traded it in for the Colt 45 I have.
Right,
So, yeah.
okay. Well, I think, there have been a couple of AK-74s, so it's entirely possible. But certainly, Roster Ram's one is gone, because that one was handed in for the 1911. But you've got it back. And as for Sobislav's one, I think that one's quite an old one that's been hanging around for a while.
Yeah, I think it was from the
Yeah.
sports session.
Yeah. What are your ammunition? What's your ammunition looking like, Sobislav?
Oh, my ammunition. Let's have a look here. Yeah, so around. I don't think I haven't put in the stats for the AK-74 yet.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. I can give those to you in just a few moments. So, scrolling to it. Okay, so the AK-74, it has an ammunition type of 5.45 by 3.9. And, 4 magazines, so 5.45 by 3.9.
5.4.
Got a reliability factor of 5
5.54. Got it.
by 3.9.
539.
3.9. So it's got a reliability factor of 5.
Can you type that down? Because I think you keep talking too quickly for me to catch all of it.
Okay, alright. I'll put it in main gilded.
Please do.
539. Oops.
Reliability.
That's a reliability 5. Rate of
Got it.
fire 5. Yep, rate of fire 5.
Damage.
2.
Crit.
3.
No blast radius because it's a bloody rifle.
Range 6.
Ooh. Bags.
Magazine 30.
Got it.
Armor 0. And weight
Got it.
1.
Alright. There we go.
And yes, there's 4 magazines. So, did you note down how many magazines of AK-74 ammunition you had?
I think magazines, I think.
Say again?
Alright. Sorry, my memory is kind of messing with me. You
Look at
mentioned
your
about
sheet.
the mags I have, right?
That you have, yes. Let's look in your gear tab. Okay. You have noted no magazines, so you have no magazines.
Because
as a result,
I swear to God. Пидорасы, блядь.
anyway, 4 have just been found. It would be entirely reasonable for you each to take 2.
I'll just take the 2.
So, and you've got a
Yes.
pile of
Yes.
PKM ammunition, which does not, I think, fit in anything that you're currently carrying, but it's useful to note. That's 7.62 by 5.4. Remember that you have a 50 caliber on the top of the M113. It's pintle mounted, and you can dismount it if you want, although that takes work.
Yeah.
Okay. So, having discovered this information, having passed around your various weapons and pieces of ammunition, Do you
Yeah.
proceed into the town?
Yeah, the T2k and then basically he's gonna keep a lookout to see if they're ambushed us
Okay. Okay.
or anything.
And as a matter of interest, who is on the 50 caliber machine gun?
I'm driving, so I can't be.
Does anyone want to volunteer for that role?
I suppose so. I could try.
Excellent. Soboslao is on it. As a result of which, Soboslao, since you've got the most unobstructed view when everyone gets back into the M113, please give me a recon roll as you drive in.
All right. Give me a second. Sorry.
Right.
All right. Recon roll. Got it.
Yep. Okay. So you see or detect nothing particularly interesting as you drive into the city. It's hard going. The road is full of potholes, pieces of debris that some of them are a bit too large even for tracked vehicles, and you have to drive around. Others of them you just rumble over. It's awkward for everyone in the back as you get knocked around and thrown about, but you'll be fine. And you have a vigilant eye open whenever you're approaching an obstruction, just in case it's been mined. But nothing along those lines leaps out at you. After a while, though, as you're driving in between the buildings and streets, as you drive into the city, you see two things. The first is another gaggle of bodies. Every now and again, as you've been driving along, there's been evidence of what was once a corpse, tattered clothing, a discarded weapon, usually rusted through, very obviously so. Maybe a piece of equipment, but the actual bodies are gone. You do, however, find at one point what was clearly a pile of bodies all slammed up against a door that looks like it's a trapdoor into a basement. The bodies themselves are ripped to shreds. You're not quite sure how many bodies there are. They've been ripped apart, moved around, put back into one another. Your biggest indication of how many people there were here were the 5 steel helmets that you see. Other than that, it's incredibly difficult to tell what's what, and there's not much of the actual bodies left. What is there is largely equipment, bone, and bits of ripped and rotten sinew. The second thing that you see is another burst of movement. This time there is about 6 shadows that just go across the street in front of you. They don't stop, they don't say anything, they don't call out, it's just move, run, and then gone almost as soon as you see them.
So blink or miss.
Indeed. Do you continue driving into the city, or do you stop and investigate?
Might as well go and investigate.
Yeah, an investigation might
Okay.
be in order.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
carry on.
he's like, we're gonna have to bury the bodies on our way back through.
Interesting. So do you stop the half track just in the middle of the street?
No, he's gonna do that later. Bury the bodies later when we have more people.
Okay.
After investigating the city first.
Right, but you're not going to follow the shadows, you're just going to drive deeper into the city. Imagine the shadows kind of went like 90 degrees across your path and have gone off to the, we'll say, the right. Your path into the center of the city is straight on. So yeah, you saw them very briefly, but when you pull up to where they would have been and you look right, you see no indication of them.
Okay, this is interesting. Did you see that?
By what means you mentioned by seeing what, Commodore?
The shadow. There was something there.
Let's see. Well, you're not so I'm not the only one, it seems. There was something there, but it's a little too quick to really acquiesce.
If you want to follow the shadows, they went down a sort of alleyway between houses. You'll have to get out and walk. So you either investigate on foot or keep going into the city in the vehicle.
It was gonna be a very cursed D&D thing, but alright, like, who wants to keep going and who wants to investigate? Anyone willing to have a consensus?
He'll go. Come on, girls. Can two people go out and investigate?
I'll have a look.
We'll keep the. We'll have somebody on the. Or up on stairs, and we'll keep the. We'll be right here.
Is anyone going to volunteer to go with Sobislaw?
I see that Sorrel's typing, so maybe Dalton has something.
Yep.
There we go.
Not with the vehicle, it's too noisy. Yep, okay, so it looks like Sorrel's thinking about scouting on foot as well. Okay. Sorrel, would you like to join Sobislaw? Excellent. And it looks like we're keeping the Commodore in the driving seat, and then presumably Rostogram will climb up onto the machine gun until the more combat-orientated members come back, or do you want to stay in the safety of the transport compartment?
I'll go up if she's ordered, but she's probably not going to be that great at manning a turret. I was going to say, like, do we have, as far as NPC characters, did we bring, like, Private Crispin or Tolbeck with us? I can't remember if she's or not, but...
Yeah, so Crispin is definitely staying back for medical care. Because he got a critical wound. Tolbeck is okay. However, she was sort of reassigned to do various things. And if you want, I can allow a sort of a retrospective roll for persuasion from the Commodore, flat. And if it's any successes, you persuaded the Major to let you bring Tolbeck along.
I mean, since we're short one person already.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me that roll. Okay, you can push that if you
Yeah,
want.
I didn't persuade. No, I'm not.
Okay. Alright. So you have no Sarah Tolbeck.
Yeah. You guys, the Commodore was adamant of not letting us keep Sarah.
Alright. So, in that case, Sobislaw, Dalton, you leave the M113 and you proceed on foot down this alley between two ruined houses in search of these mysterious shadows that appear to be running around. You get the feeling as you're moving along that something's watching you. You're very aware that you are in quite a tight, narrow space. You can both give me recon rolls.
Alright. I Dice doesn't like me today.
Okay, that's one success from Dalton. So Sobzar, you're moving forward, and you detect or see nothing strange. Going very close to a pile of just refuse, exactly the kind of trash that you'd expect to pile up and rubble and debris, and a piece of corrugated iron shifts as Sobzar draws close, and that's what you see. Do you do anything immediately when you see this shift?
I think it's just him. It's cutting in and
Okay.
out.
Yeah, I'll repeat. So, as Sobzar was moving forward, Sobzar saw nothing. You, just behind Sobzar, however, noticed that in a pile of rubble and debris of exactly the kind you'd expect in an alley like this in a bombed-out city, a piece of corrugated iron shifts as Sobzar draws close. And that's all you notice at this stage. All right. So you say, draw Sobzar's attention, tell him to hold position. Sobzar, you now notice this, and when you presumably share a few words to say, stop, don't move forward, etc., the metal shifts again a little more visibly, and you definitely notice it this time. And you get the feeling you can hear something moving.
I believe we have company.
Okay. Other than saying that, do you do anything?
Yeah, I would definitely halt and try to... Alright. I would like to try and cautiously step back to see if this metal moves even further.
No. If when you step back, it is still.
Let's see. Right. I will try to move the metal as suggested.
All right. So you move up, rifle covering a piece of metal. Move up. That's obviously Dalton's. Slowly. Doesn't appear to be anything. No movement. And when you take away the metal, do you take it away slowly? Or do you yank it away quickly?
Slowly.
You move forward. You put a hand on the piece of metal. You begin to pull it back. Please make me a close combat roll at -2 dice steps. Okay, so you got a success. What was that at -2? It was not at -2. Roll me just a d6. That's what it will be for you.
Oh.
Okay, that's an unfortunate failure. So you reach out, you put a hand on a piece of metal, you start pulling it back, and then suddenly, dog, vroomf, comes out from behind the metal. Bam! Jaws on your arm. Boof! It's completely pushed you down to the ground. You've got teeth in your arm. It is yanking its head back, side to side, side to side, side to side, clearly going for something. This thing is manky as anything. It's matted fur. It's clearly got... It's ill. It's sick. But it's also very aggressive and really has got its jaws into you. Please take... I'm just going to have a look at this. Yes, I put the stat block in village NPCs for some strange reason.
Oh, what a way to kill off my character by rabies. Yeah, totally.
So please take 2 points of physical damage for the teeth going into your arm. And we'll come to any kind of infections and so forth later, but that's not an immediate concern. You are on your back, prone, dog on top of you. I turn to Dalton. Dalton, is there anything you immediately do as you see this?
He already put in his response.
Yeah.
Combat knife and attack the dog. Okay, excellent. So Dalton, you can make me a flat melee combat roll. You're not surprised or anything like that. Okay, so that is 2 successes. That's fantastic. Do you want to take that second success and like put it into an extra point of damage?
And he's gone again.
Don't worry. So, I believe that will actually put it up into critical. I'm just going to check that.
Why did he move me to combat?
Oh, I do apologize. I was looking for a stat block. I apologize.
I'll
come out of your sheet. Okay, so you surge forward with the knife.
Just text him.
Pardon?
Just text him, because I feel like he's going to keep disconnecting and not hear what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah, he's gonna keep losing you.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, but we can't make this a habit, because otherwise we're going to be spending too much time typing and not actually play anything.
Yeah.
So he surges forward with his knife. Due to the second success, which I'm going to assume he puts into the point of damage, dogs have no armor value, so it counts up into a critical hit, and it's a minion, so it dies instantly to a crit. You surge forward and you plunge your knife into its neck. Soboslaw, the mangy dog, just goes limp, the occasional bark from further down the alley. It is now readily apparent to you that at least these shadows are a pack of dogs.
Dogs. Oh, you definitely mangy ones. You feral. Fuck! At least it didn't break the bloody bone. As I literally try to shove off the dog.
Okay, that's easy. You do that. You notice as you shove the creature off, the dogs start gathering at the far end of the alley. They're looking at you. They're growling. Every now and again, they do that thing where they sort of step forward a pace but don't actually charge you. And you're also aware of the sound of movement. Again, clearly more dog feet from the sort of fences on the sides of the alleys. So they're moving past you, it seems, and it looks like this pack's got quite a few dogs in it. They are not behind you yet. Toss a grenade. Okay.
I think I have an idea.
Are they that far from the vehicle? I feel like they could just run back to the
hold
vehicle.
on.
Yeah. You can easily run back to the vehicle.
Wait, I think I have a better idea. Wait. I have a better idea. I know it's gonna be a little not so fucking brutal, but Is it? No, it's not. Neither of what I have is gonna work, because I honestly thought that we could have easily smoke grenaded and got rid of, basically, from what I've seen, like, from what I remember when dealing with aggressive dogs, there was a good way to avoid them from actually attacking you, is basically removing their ability to see just for a moment.
Mm-hmm. If you have a tool that you feel that you can use, then by all means use it.
They're not near
I'm
yet.
gonna yank out that metal as something.
You're going to yank out that metal something, like
Whatever.
the piece of corrugated iron.
Yes.
Okay, you yank away the piece. I should point out, there's no more dogs behind that. You know, the dogs that are forming are down the alley. It's just rubble behind the piece of corrugated iron.
Okay.
There was just there was a hide there where the dog was.
I have an idea. I mean,
okay.
Okay. As soon as I look over to Brandon, and as soon as I throw that metal, I needed to fire a single bullet. Do you understand that? Because using the clanging of the metal onto the ground and using that bullet, that could amplify noise to try and scare them off. Hello?
Okay, I'm just going to give Sorel a moment to type to see if he's going to go along with that plan.
Either way, by the time you do that, they'll be on top of you.
I'll come to that in a moment. Okay, I need either Sorel to type in, or for Sobislav, in fact both of you, to state without further consultation with one another the next thing that you are immediately doing.
There, here's my
Okay.
response.
All right, you do that. I'm just going to have the dogs make a roll in the background. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so Sobislav takes the metal sheet and bang, slams it into the wall. The dogs appear to take half a step back in momentary shock, but they don't then run. And
because technically, the sound of a normal slamming lid would be approximately 90 to 95 decibels.
They definitely don't like it, but you did not make them run. And you are aware of the sound.
As I said,
of the dogs.
and as I already mentioned, use that momentum from the motion of it to book it.
Okay, right.
Can you guys just stop talking about this? I swear to God, it's just bitching about it is just getting really fucking annoying. Okay, I'm sorry. God.
Just.
Pizda, blad. Иди нахуй, пидорасы, блядь.
Right, we'll just keep moving. So you smash the piece of metal into the wall. They are momentarily stunned by that, but they don't run. And Sobislav turns and runs. Sorel, or rather Dalton, appears to be holding his position with his rifle facing down the alleyway. As Sobislav runs, the lead dog goes into a sprint, starts charging. The dogs behind him start charging. You're aware of the of dogs attempting to climb fences. You can hear paws going scrabble, scrabble, scrabble to the side of you. They're behind the wall on the far side of to your left in the alleyway, and that's where we're going to pause that scene as the dogs are charging straight toward you, and we turn our attention back to the main camp, where Gavriel is currently attempting to, well, enact whatever sinister plan he has. Gavriel, what is your sinister plan? What are you doing?
Why do you assume it's sinister? I'm just, I had breakfast. I limped my way, out of the tent to breakfast, and what is it, like 6 in the morning?
It can be whatever time you wish.
By the way,
you haven't been given a duty.
Yeah, how long does it take for them to leave and get to, a few hours, I imagine, right?
Yeah, it's going to take them a little over a shift. So if they left at about, I don't know, 8 o'clock in the morning, let's say, then they would have gotten there. It's currently mid-afternoon during this dog scene.
Okay.
But you've got all that time to play with.
Right. So yeah, I'll just act normal. Eat my breakfast, go find that Polish lady, I don't remember her name, and get a lesson in Polish, and then I'll there was something I wanted to ask her, but I'll just wait on that. But anyway, so yeah, I'll finish that, and I'll see if probably around 8-9 o'clock. I'll see if the major, wherever I know that she hangs out at, wherever whatever the command center is, I'll just go there and see if she can have a meeting with me. I'll have one crutch probably. I'll have my pistol and my knife on me, and that's pretty much it. I'll be in civilian clothes. But yeah, I'll basically see if she can actually meet with me, or if she's too busy or whatever.
When you do that, you are sort of intercepted by an NCO who is essentially manning the desk at the entry point to the little sort of command area that she's set up. And when you ask to see the major, he responds, "What is your business with the major? What can I say this is about?"
People like me, we get injured, we get laid up, and I'm feeling kind of useless. I would kind of see, and first of all, I wanted to thank her for, keeping me here, sheltering me, and all that good stuff. But I also wanted to see if she would, give me something to do. Additionally, I might have more intel for her regarding the Crash Piece Village. Yeah, just general stuff like that.
I see. Well, we can certainly do something to help find some light duties for you. Give me a flat persuasion roll.
Every time, even though my persuasion's my best one, I always roll shit on it. Let's see what happens now. I can't wait to get more XP and I can move that thing up. All right.
Okay, that's a success.
Okay.
So you do that, and he says, "We can certainly find some light duties for you whilst you complete your recovery. I will alert the major to the extra intelligence that you say you have." He goes away. You're not alone. There are guards, but none of them are talking to you.
Yeah, I'm guessing they all have the same patch that the major has, that the major came from.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's clear that the people who are closest to her,
yeah,
seemingly,
I kind of figured,
most of the time, are from her original unit.
Yeah, makes sense.
So he goes away. He comes back a few moments later, and with him is Lieutenant Nichols.
Which one's Nichols again? Sorry,
he's the one that you met at first.
He's the radio guy, right?
Yeah, he is often the radio guy, but he's also the guy who you met at first, like near the M113, and it seems like he's tasked with quite a few things.
Her liaison, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And Lieutenant Nichols will come out and say, "Sergeant, I'm glad to hear that you are doing better and you feel up to some duties. We can have a conversation about that. But you mentioned that you had some further intelligence."
Unfortunately, it's for the major's ears only. It's regarding this very unit and some of the individuals stationed in this space. I don't feel comfortable telling anyone but her.
Are you suggesting that there is some disloyalty?
I mean, I'm not suggesting anything. I'm going to give her the facts and let her make her decision, and that'll be the end of it, if you don't mind, sir.
I see. And he's giving you the sort of very like narrowed eyes, kind of like I am assessing you, squint, and he will say, "Remain there, please."
Of course.
He'll disappear. Then he will give me another persuasion roll.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh my god.
I mean, there's no point pushing that because you just hurt yourself.
Yeah, I'll take some stress away.
Okay. Yeah, you just leave it as it is. So yeah, he disappears, and he comes back a little while later, and says, "Of course, the Major is happy to talk to you. Please follow me."
Okay, I'll follow.
And he leads you not into any of the tents or anything along those lines, but into the what was clearly the old town hall, and you are led into what appears to be a meeting room. There's desk, chair, a couple of other chairs in there, and you are invited to sit down, and Lieutenant Nichols will say, unfortunately, you're also very aware that 3 men have come in with you. Lieutenant Nichols said, unfortunately, the Major is undisposed at the moment. She has an unavoidable schedule of conflict in her schedule. However, she has made it very clear that you are to tell me the concerning information that you have, Sergeant. Please, tell me immediately.
Well, I mean, I was talking to some random Polish guy out there last night, and he mentioned that village that you guys are dead set on, and I just wanted to let you know that it's only a matter of time before that those individuals, the village crush piece and the Polish here maybe team up and decide that you guys are not worth keeping around anymore. That's all. I mean, and maybe for that information I could get I don't know. I look around at the various officers and I say, and the guards, I say maybe I can get a better tent out of that area that I'm in now, if you know what I mean.
So you believe that some of the Poles here have been in communication with the villagers at Crespice?
Not just the Poles, but like I said, that information is for the Major's ears only. And I just turned to leave.
You are very aware from the body language of everyone in the room that leaving is no longer an option.
And you said there's 4 people total, right?
4 people total, Nichols and 3 guards.
And the guards are NCOs, I guess, I'm assuming?
I'm going to say 2 privates and a lance corporal.
Okay.
Or private first class.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look at them. Do I get... And I'm guessing they're all wearing the same patches, so I'll look at them and...
Yep.
Do I get the inkling that they're just there to do their job for the Major, or they're there because they're really eager to do their job? In other words, if I give them half an inch, are they gonna take that as an invitation to do what they're assigned to do, essentially?
You can give me either a recon or a persuasion roll.
Well, probably gonna be persuasion,
your choice.
Despite the fact I suck at it. I don't know why, but I've always rolled better recon than persuasion.
Yep, you still get a success.
Okay.
So you get the feeling from the obvious hostility that these 3 people are putting out, that the Major has probably said something to Nichols and this guy that He is to give the information to you. Do not let him leave until he gives you the information.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, this is going to be interesting. Well, I'm going to turn back to Nichols, and I say, and I'm going to say, or Gabrielle says, Sergeant Gabrielle says, is this how we treat our fellow Americans around here? Just because we think they might know something we don't?
We do not think you might know something that we do not. You have come in here and claimed that you know it.
Okay.
Please identify the people that you believe are liaising with Chris Peace.
Well, then it must be true then, because, if you're willing to keep me from leaving here, then clearly the Poles probably fared a lot worse when you took over this town, didn't they?
That is immaterial. You are to give us the information that you have suggested that you hold. You have either come in here and lied, and that you do not have this information.
I have not lied.
In which case we must question why you would try to get here under false pretenses, or you are deliberately withholding that information inappropriately. If you are a part of this team, a part of this unit, you will hand over that information
I look down
to me
at my outfit, my civilian outfit. I say, I don't believe I am part of your unit. I believe I'm a guest who was seeking medical condition. I never once told the major that I was going to join your group. In fact, I made it clear to my commodore that I was probably going to leave soon. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm your guest.
Are you suggesting that you do not have plans to remain with this unit and assist us in our endeavors?
I do, so long as they meet the NATO and U.S. mission of defeating the Russians, but as far as I could see, it doesn't.
We have been in combat with the Russians several times.
Combat doesn't mean anything.
When you say that, visibly everyone in the room is pissed off. They did not like that sentence. And explain yourself, Sergeant.
Well, the war is over whether you like it or not. And granted, there's not many options. Can't go north because of the, if I remember correctly, out of character, the blocking of the sea or something like that.
Yeah, there's all sorts of things between here. Yeah, north is generally a bad reason for A, Soviet troops, B, the ports have been
basically
some of the most heavily damaged and nuked areas.
You can't go west because, well, Germany's basically World War Z now. You can't go east for other reasons. Basically what I'm saying is you guys are pretty much screwed unless you do things that you may not want to do. And I can tell from what I've heard that you have. But even that is only going to go so far before the Russians, probably the Russians, but also the Poles and maybe even some people in your own unit decide that they've had enough. And I kind of give them a look like I'm one of the latter.
You are saying that you have had enough of the way that things have been done here, despite the fact you have only been here a matter of days?
I'm saying the way things are done here are going to get you all killed. There's only so much running away from the enemy you can do before they catch up to you.
You are suggesting that we turn and give battle to the Soviets.
They've already won. Can't you tell? This is the largest NATO unit in this area, and it's only a matter of time before a larger unit of Russians or the Poles take care of this village too.
You are saying that we should not run and that we should not fight. What is your suggestion, Sergeant?
Well, the Major, unlike you, seems like she can look into the long term and see a long-term goal. That's why I wanted to talk to her. I had some plans that I wanted to give her, or suggest to her, but since you're clearly not on the same page as her, obviously she didn't trust you enough to let you in on her inner plans, then I guess you're all doomed.
The lieutenant will give a nod to one of the guards, who will.
If he tries to take my weapon, I attack.
Yeah, I was about to say he is approaching to very obviously remove your gear.
Yep. So I don't know how melee
yeah.
combat works, but I just want unarmed and to disarm whoever touches my character. Basically, if he reaches for me, I want to do some unarmed and then try to take his weapon. I don't want to fire my weapon or take out my knife or anything like that. I just want to take his weapon. So how do I do that?
Okay. So since you're both aware, neither of you are surprised, and you're both prepared, just give me a straight melee combat roll. Or close combat roll. It's the second one down under strength.
Yeah. All right. And then this is contested, you said?
So yeah, he'll be doing one in the background.
All right.
Or it might be in public if I don't get the background. Okay, so you got a 1, and he got a. Ended up being in public. Okay, so so he approaches. He is very obviously going for your pistol first, and you seem to sort of successfully bat his fist aside. Well, his hand aside, and deflect him. Are you aiming to actually punch him, or are you just stopping him?
Actually, you know what?
What he's trying to do.
I don't know which is more likely to succeed, but I want to use my crutch if at all possible. Can I do that?
Yeah, absolutely. You can do that. It's the same roll, but I'll say that the crutch might get some an unexpected bonus if for whatever reason it's successful, and I'll let that go through on the current roll. But crucially, are you just trying to keep him away from you, or are you actually trying to do harm?
Oh no, I'm just trying to keep them away from me. In fact, if they're both standing, together, I just push them both with my crutch if possible. Like the 2 guards or 3 guards, however many there are.
Yep. So the guard who approaches you manage to knock away his hand, and then you sort of jab him in the gut with the crutch, and that pushes him away. He staggers back. When you do this, the 2 other guards who are a bit further away, not within fist swinging distance, right. They take a step back and raise their weapons, and Lieutenant Nichols also takes a step back. He stands up out of the chair, takes a step back, draws his pistol, and is effectively everyone in the room is waiting to see what you do next.
Well, I have my after I push him aside or whatever, I pull the crutch back towards me, and they're pointing their guns at me, and I look at the crutch and I keep it. I lower it in my left hand, but my right hand is up in plain view so that they're looking at it. Mm-hmm. And then basically I want to do 3 things at the same time. I don't know if it's possible in this game, but I want to throw my crutch at the officer. I want to draw both my dagger and my gun and attack the other 2. I don't know if that's possible. It's probably not, but that's what I want to try to do.
Hey, you can absolutely give it a go. So
he's like, I wish I let him go AWOL, damn it.
Well, since all this has happened, give me your choice of either close combat, mobility, or ranged combat.
Probably gonna be ranged combat because it's a C.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so you manage to you throw your crutch over the table. Boom! It hits Lieutenant Nichols. He kind of staggers back, but he's still on his feet. Mm-hmm. In a single movement, you pull a knife with one hand, you pull your pistol with the other. Did you say you were shooting anyone, or are you just pulling?
I mean, since they've got their guns out pointed at me, I will aim at one of the guards' leg and shoot that. And
Fantastic.
I'll probably have to
Hang on.
wait for the next action because afterwards, because I know it's going to be practically impossible to shoot while throwing a dagger, I want to throw the dagger at the shoulder of the second guy, the second guard.
Okay, so you pull the trigger on the pistol. I'll take it off at the same roll, and poof, it goes into the leg of one of the guards. It's not enough to be a critical because you didn't get enough successes
I just
to go
want
over
him
your
to
critical threshold.
Get slightly wounded. Basically, I just want it so that his gun is not pointed directly at me.
Yep. Well, yeah. Okay. So, bam! That shot goes off. A shot has now been fired.
Yep. Now
in
everyone
the
is
middle of the
converging on this location. I know.
So, the guard that you did not shoot and that you did not stab with a crutch will do this, and hopefully the macro works. Okay. So he, as you're just about to throw a knife at you, raises his weapon, squeezes the trigger. He doesn't use burst fire or anything along those lines. It's just a single boomf. Let's just do this in the background. Okay. So you feel a thump in your chest as you are hit by this round. I believe you're wearing body armor?
No, I'm in civvies.
Okay, so you take 2 damage as this bullet hits you in your chest.
Okay.
It hasn't punctured anything crucial. Maybe it didn't penetrate that deeply. Maybe it's bounced off of a rib. But either way, you have been shot in the chest, and it is now your turn to do something. Lieutenant Nichols spends his whole turn righting himself, and the guard that you shot spends his whole turn righting himself. It is now your turn to act again.
Well, considering I've been shot in the chest, I don't think there's much I can reasonably do besides what's that word I'm looking for? I don't remember what the word is, but basically not recover, but something similar to that, where it's like I'm just trying to minimize the damage, the damage that will possibly follow afterwards. I brought with me.
You could do.
I forgot to tell you. I didn't think it mattered. But in my jacket pocket is my police shield. So I'm gonna drop my knife. To kind of get. They're gonna think, oh, he. But like I'm dropping my knife. I'm falling to my knees. I'm gonna drop my gun. I'm gonna reach into my jacket pocket and pull out the police shield, and just like look at it, and then fall on my face and basically play dead.
Right, okay. When you're falling, are you falling in such a position as you're on top of the 2 weapons that you just dropped, or are they lying off to the side?
I'm gonna say the gun is off to the side. The dagger or the Bowie knife can be like right, like half under me, half to the side. Gabriel's not worried too much about that. He's aiming for something else. Everything he's tried to do has failed, so we'll see how this goes.
Okay, so bam, Gabriel is shot in the chest, drops his weapons, goes to his knees, and he flumps forward with a police shield in his hand. The guards are slightly confused by this, and it's very clear that they were about to just riddle you full of bullets when you reached into a pocket.
Right, yeah.
However, they clearly must have been perhaps just a little bit slow or something along those lines, because they didn't do that immediately, and they see that you withdrew a seemingly harmless item. You flump forward onto the floor. You can no longer see what is happening because you're face down. You hear door open, more feet, door close, boots approaching you. People saying, "Get out the rope! Get out the rope!" As your pistol is kicked and slides away from you on the ground, and then you feel a heavy weight in your back as someone is kneeling on your back, taking control of your hands. It seems like there might be a second person who's got you by the back of the head and is forcing it into the ground. and you are in the process of being restrained. Anything in your hands is being forcibly wrenched out of them.
Okay.
Do you do anything, or do you let this
no,
continue?
I let them do whatever they want, short of, murder me.
Okay. Your hands are tied. You are... They very quickly determine that you are still alive. You are unceremoniously hauled up onto your feet. They are very rough with you as they're doing this. One of the guards seems to take a moment to just get a cheap shot in on your gut as he just punches you in it as hard as he possibly can. Take an extra point of physical damage. As
I cough blood.
Yep. And then you are thrown back into the chair that you were previously in.
Wait, which chair is this?
The chair that you were sitting in when you were being questioned.
Like
you
just
stood
now?
up and started poking people. Yeah, you haven't been taken out of the room.
I just... Okay, that's fine. Whatever.
Yep. Lieutenant Nichols is gone. You are, however, left in a room with, I'm going to say, 5 guards. The 3 that you reckon... 2 of the ones that you saw previously. The one that you shot is left. And 3 new ones, including a sergeant. And the sergeant will simply demand, "Where are your squad mates going?"
I want to... Hold on. Is there... Oh, that thing. What's it called? Fuck, I forgot what it's called. CUF. I want to do that roll because I want to see if I have the mind to lie or if I have the mind to tell the truth. If that's okay.
It's a CUF.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
you
are.
All right.
You are completely in control of your emotions.
All right. So I tell them they went to Kluxborg. They are meeting with other NATO troops, and then I just kind of like pretend like I pass out.
Okay.
Or at least get dazed.
Everything.
I am hurt. I am shot after all.
You are shot.
Yeah.
Everything is removed from you, like every piece of equipment, no matter what.
Yeah.
Food,
that's fine.
rope, a piece of twine, your pocket lint, it's all gone. And it's ripped out of you. And you are, obviously conscious while all this is happening. You are dimly aware. You're bound by your hands and by your feet, and you're dimly aware that you're dragged around a little bit. You feel somebody bandaging your wound before you're dragged off again. A blindfold is on you as well by this point. You're thrown down onto a cold, hard floor. After a few moments, a bucket of water is thrown over you, and a boot is planted into your ribs as someone just...
Oh, finally a shower. Thank you so much. He says.
Oh, the sarkiness.
Of course.
The sarkiness gets you another punch to the ribs, but not hard enough to do statistical damage.
Right.
You are about to be... Oh, actually, no, we'll do a little more of it now. Lieutenant Nichols is now back in the room. You are in a concrete room, featureless. You're, as I said, bound by your wrists and by your ankles. You are also shackled to something behind you that you can't really turn around and see. And your blindfold has been removed. As well as Lieutenant Nichols being in the room, there's a man holding a bucket. There's 2 guards behind him, and you are aware that there is a very heavy door guarding your way to the outside world. This is not a good situation for you to be in. And Lieutenant Nichols will say, "So, you claim to have that the NATO troops gathering in Kluxborg. I do not believe this, nonetheless. Now, you mentioned other Poles in this region. Tell me, who are your co-conspirators?"
I shake my head. I can't tell you that.
You will tell us who your co-conspirators are. Things will go a lot more smoothly for you if you do.
Do I know any of the names of the officers besides Nichols?
I'm going to say, yeah, you know one of them. And yeah, I'm going to say a Lieutenant Adams.
All right, I'll say. I'm not going to tell you anything. You can't make me. And then brace for another kicker punch.
No. Now they'll simply say, "Well, it will be a lot better for you if you do. This, of course, isn't going to end well for you anyway. You have assaulted me. You have assaulted members of this unit. Your fate is all but sealed. What matters now is how you meet it, and how your friends will fare in the future."
I don't have any friends.
Somebody walk. Oh, I think you do, Sergeant. I think you do. And one of the people in the room will sort of like stow his weapon and pull out from behind him a pair of bolt cutters, and will start walking towards you.
Oh yeah, get these chains off, please. Thank you.
No. So, Sergeant, you will identify your conspirators and your how am I going to do this? I'll start. Okay, you're aware that you look down at your feet as they're sort of wrenched out from under you, still bound, and the bolt cutters are put over one of your toes.
I look down and I say, not Pinky, that's my favorite. All right. I'll tell you what you want to know. But he's going to kill me if I tell anyone.
Tell us.
I can't, and then I look away.
Okay,
I'm gonna have to do a CUF roll, I know.
Absolutely, do it. Do a CUF. Do it.
This is for after he cuts off my toe, by the way.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, you feel the bolts come down as your toe is removed from your body and falls to the ground.
Oh fuck!
Okay, you are not cool.
No,
you are panicked.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's just me. It's just me and a few others. It's, and then I'll like in my head, I'll be trying to like rack my brain, trying to think of any names besides the ones that I'm probably gonna end up saying. But I say, when we first arrived, Lieutenant, what was his name? Adams met with Commodore Wolf. That's all I know. Please. No more.
Okay, so give me a persuasion roll,
Okay.
and since you are in pain and you failed the CUF, you're going to be at -2 to this dice roll.
So let's see. Put that. So that would be. So what would I change?
Okay, so I'll have a look at your sheet.
Because die 1 it says A D12. So would I change that to DC?
So what? Yes, but
Or
don't
not
do it in the like in the main sheet. Do it in the dice roller at the bottom.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So change that to C, and then do I change the second one?
No, you can keep the persuasion at C.
Okay.
So essentially
C
rolling
and a
2
C.
Cs.
Gotcha.
Oh wow! That is a success.
Thank God.
So, the toe is taken off, and you are in immense pain. However, you manage to keep your wherewithal, and you spin out your lie, naming Lieutenant Adams. You're wondering whether or not this has been believed, whether or not it's
Well, that's what that roll
it's
is
sunk
for.
in. Indeed,
Right?
it is. And you're looking at Lieutenant Nichols, and you think, though he's clearly not going to say anything, you think that maybe you've been able to plant that seed. That maybe that's something he's taking seriously.
Okay, I'll continue and just say, just leave me alone. Just don't tell him. He'll find a way to kill me. Both of them. They just please, just leave me. Just let me sit here or kill me. One of the two.
Is there anybody else involved other than Lieutenant Adams?
There could be other officers, but I don't know. He's the only one I saw. That's why I wanted to talk to the major directly. I didn't know if you were involved in it. I'm so sorry. Just
what did you see Lieutenant Adams doing?
Well, like I said before, he met with the Commodore after a moment, and then there was some meeting in the motor pool. But look, there was that stupid dinner they were talking about. Look, all I know is the Polish, the ones that are here, somehow it's involved with them, and I was just trying to help the major. I didn't know she was going to have you do this.
You admit that the Commodore is part of the conspiracy?
Yes, he wants the major's position. I was going to tell her that, but you had to take it, the old-fashioned way.
Give me another persuasion roll, again at -2, so the 2 Cs.
Okay.
Okay, all right. That's interesting. So again, he'll give you a look of just silence and cold contemplation, and before he just turns and leaves the room without another word of explanation. The guards remain. You are not asked further questions, and you are not subjected to any further immediate interrogation.
Okay, so there's 2 guards?
Yes, there's 2 guards in here. They both have rifles,
Okay.
and one of them also has bolt cutters.
And I'm chained up to something I can't see, basically, behind me.
Yeah, you can't turn your head around that far. Okay.
And I'm guessing they're wearing the same patches, from the
Yep.
unit, the majors. Okay. How... I guess I wouldn't know. Probably after a few minutes of just laying there crying over my missing toe. I'll never run again. I was going to do that marathon next week. I'm going to look up to the guards and say, you guys could have been home by now. And just kind of judge the reaction, see if there's any doubt whatsoever that, or are they like hardcore pro major.
These guys, you can give me a persuasion or recon roll of your choice,
Okay.
To assess their reaction.
Recon, let's see. Yeah, probably persuasion.
Oh, wow, okay. So you say that, and your words are definitely noticed, but they're very hard, and it's as though they're giving you a visual. We disagree with you, but we know that isn't true. We couldn't have gone home.
Right.
Look, they are very stern.
Okay. So they're probably, even though they're privates or whatever, they're probably like she probably saved their life directly or something, and now they're like loyal only to her. Got it. Okay. So in that case, I'm just gonna wait, I guess, for Nichols to return because, yeah, I will make one joke to one of the guards and see if he smirks or laughs. I'll just be like, "So when am I gonna get lunch?"
He smiles a little, but it is a smile with no joy.
Basically,
And
he's
at that
thinking
point-
never.
Carry on. At that point, we will turn the camera back to the city, where the dogs are pouring down an alleyway. Dalton, you are ready to fire. You may fire as these dogs are surging forward in an effort to catch you. It would be a ranged combat roll from Dalton to either use a rifle or a grenade, his choice. Okay, alright. Now, did you use rifle or grenade? I know you prepared the rifle, but I'll allow you to use either, given your grenade was your previous plan.
Yeah. Did you...
Okay, so the rifle. So, you bang, you fire, and the bullet goes wide. It hits nothing. You get the feeling that maybe some of the dogs at the back of the pack are not entirely happy about this, but the dogs who are at the front are surging forward. You have time to do something else before they get to you. This something else could include, if you want, running back to the APC. It will, however, be an opposed roll to see if you get there before the dogs do, or you can continue to stand and fight. Yes, the LT is past you. The LT is behind you in the alley. They're
I thought I had a head start.
You do. The LT is past, as in you are past Sorel, so you're closer to the M113. Okay, so you're going to run, covering Soboslau's rear. In that case, could Dalton, and only Dalton, since you're the one in the back, make me a mobility roll for the sprint. Okay, so Soboslau, you are running down the alley. You hear a shot go off. You don't hear a dog whimper or anything along those lines. You are getting really, really close to the M113. You know that you could just leap into it, without difficulty. Do you choose to do that, or do you do anything else before going into the M113?
Is Dalton behind me?
You can hear the sound of running feet behind you. He's definitely running as well, but you know the dogs are a lot closer to him.
I'm gonna quickly stop and turn around and actually bust out the AK-74 and point it as... Because I'm not going to leave Dalton behind.
Alright, do you fire in Pack of Dogs?
Yes.
Alright, do you want to fire off a single round, a burst? How much ammunition do you want to use here?
A burst.
3 round?
Huh? A single round,
okay.
yes.
So a 3-round burst. Okay. So, make me a ranged combat roll, but then also roll 2 ammo dice. So, okay, you definitely hit. You can now roll the 2 ammo dice as well.
What's the ammo dice? Can you remind me that?
So, I'll just look at someone else's sheet so I can point where they are on the sheet. Okay, so if you go to the combat tab, if you look at the top, you'll see ammo dice. Just activate 1 and 2, and then press the D20. I'll take the combat roll that you've already done. Okay, alright, so you fire off a burst into the dogs. Do you wish to push that roll, or do you wish to keep it as it is?
Pushing it.
Okay, in that case, you may roll me 1d6 and 1d10. Okay. Alright, so you fire your 3-round burst in the AK-74. You see the bullets go into the pack of dogs. You definitely haven't wiped out the pack. There's too many dogs for that, but the lead dogs fall and crumple to the ground dead. You are, however, also aware that something feels slightly wrong in the AK-74. It hasn't jammed or anything along those lines, but you get the feeling that you've pushed it a bit. Please reduce its reliability from 5 to 4. However, Dalton, even though you failed the stamina roll, which would have resulted in the dogs catching up to you at the last possible moment, the lead dogs in the pack are dead, and so you will be able to just get into the M113 before the dogs catch you. The shots from Sobislaw saved your ankles. Do you both wish to dive into the M113?
Yeah, we are getting in now.
Excellent.
With my unbitten head, I yank him inside.
Excellent. And I'm assuming close the door, so you
shut the door.
You can feel the body slams of the dogs up against the side of the vehicle and up against the door. And then the scraping and panic as they're trying to claw their way in. Dr. Rostogram, you are on the top, on the 50 caliber. Do you fire?
The only exception would be if
into
someone
the pack?
yelled at me to get back inside. Would be the only exception there.
It doesn't look like the dogs are going to be able to jump up that onto the top so far, although you can see a few of them are going to the front of the M113, which has become sloped, and it looks like they're trying to work out how they could claw their way up it. They haven't managed it yet, though. Do you fire into the pack, or do you remain as you are?
Fire.
Alright, sounds like the best decision would be to go ahead and fire. So.
Okay, in that case, and I think we can do it from the M113 token. Oh, and by the way, Sobislaw, please make sure to note the 3 ammunition used. The party M113, so... Yeah, into HB, yeah, okay. What's your ranged combat skill? Dr. Rostogram?
It's not very good, but it's there. The D.
Okay. D and a D. Okay, I'll just set the vehicle up to that. And this is a 50 caliber machine gun. It is capable of a rate of fire of up to 4, which means that you can fire 4 rounds. That's 3 ammunition dice. Do you want to spend all of that? Do you want to fire all of it? Do you want to fire off a single shot?
At least fire one single shot.
So a couple of things that she presumably knows that I do not know would be how loud of decibel range, how loud are these rounds going to be?
Oh, extraordinarily. I can't give you a precise number, but it's
Okay.
it's going to sting.
Okay. Because yes, the dogs are already surrounding at this point, but if presumably we could, it seemed. I know earlier we were talking about trying to be loud to scare dogs away. So if that's enough to do it. But on the other hand, if it's in heat of the moment, she probably is going to fire more than 1 round at least.
Okay, fair enough. And according to a quick Google, about 160, 170 decibels.
Thanks, Cyril. Okay.
So, okay, you're going to fire a burst. I'll put in the ammo dice. If you go to the M113 sheet and the vehicles tab, I've set up the dice roll at the top with your stats. So yeah, you can roll that attack if you wish.
Okay. I know out of character, I'm sorry that I'm doing 4 rounds, but in character, that's I think what she's going to be doing.
Okay. Do you wish to push the roll, or do you wish to keep it as it is?
Not going to push it. This is more just.
Okay. So you swing the machine gun round on its mount, point it down the alley where a lot of the pack is, and the bullet. It's incredibly loud. It stings your ears. None of your bullets appear to do anything. You are aware of the pocks of concrete dust from where your bullets hitting walls, but no dogs go down. However, quite a few of the dogs towards the back of the pack, essentially most of them, they scatter at a weapon shot that loud, and you've now only got a handful of dogs who are still around the vehicle, and those seem to be the ones who were most frenzied, and they're still there. What do you do next?
The Komodo just goes, stuff it, drives forward and drives back.
Yeah, okay, give me a driving roll.
I'm just getting annoyed with the dogs not getting killed.
Give me that. Okay, so you as they, I mean, you never turned off the engine, but as you get into gear and you start going back, the engine definitely revs up. You don't get the feeling that you ran over any dogs. They clearly were sensible enough to run out of the way as you drove forward and drove back. However, they do seem to then scatter, and they go back into buildings, holes, alleyways, but they run off, and you have successfully driven away the pack, having killed 2 dogs, 3 dogs actually, including the knife dog. But the vast majority of the pack is still alive, but they have now run off.
Okay. We're gonna have to clear this place out.
Okay.
Feral dogs.
Now, yeah. So at this junction, the Soberslau, please make me a stamina roll. Excellent. Yeah, you detect and feel nothing. I will, however, tell you out of character that was your role to fight off infection. And that was a good roll for fighting off an infection.
Yeah, the British supremacy.
The British supremacy, absolutely. Hardy systems. That's also true, Sorrel. You wouldn't necessarily feel, but you didn't hear any whimpers or anything like that either. But yeah, either way, the dogs and Rosterground would be able to see that the dogs ran out of the way. So, you are now here in the middle of the city. You're in the suburbs. You're not in the very centre. You're still in the suburbs. Do you continue to plough on to the centre, or do you alter your plan?
Yes. We're going straight to the centre.
Oh,
keep a look
right.
at,
You drive.
and keeping lookout for any fuel. I'll say, can one of you go and take over for the doc?
Cut out there, Mac.
Basically, I say, can one of you take over for the doctor? On the turret?
I'm not. Well, alright, I'll do it.
Excellent. So the lieutenant clambers up.
Wait, no, the Dalton's also back. I would say between Dalton or the lieutenant, it would be better for Dalton.
Oh, yeah,
Just
I see what
then
Dalton typed in.
Sorry, I know, Lieutenant, you have your British stamina, but you are still wounded, and so Rostergam would probably be like, "What are you trying to do?"
Very well.
You could argue with her. You're higher rank than she is. So you could do that. But I just know Dalton's also volunteer.
I had dealt with crazy rabid bloody dogs even before serving, but if alright, fine. Go right ahead. Dalton, you able to handle the gun up there?
Yeah,
You
it
see
seems
in
like
the
it.
gilded chat.
Yes.
Yeah, he's volunteered.
There's also one other thing I could do while I'm in there.
Okay, what's that?
I don't know, probably to patch up the AK-74 for abusing the poor gun.
Okay, that is something that you can do, but it's a sort of a downtime thing. You're going to have to sit down and actually spend proper time stripping it, repairing it, etc. It's not going to be something that you can quickly do in the middle of a scene.
Oh, shame.
Okay, I'm gonna drive down to the center of town.
Excellent. Give me a driving roll.
Dalton, keeping a lookout for.
Yep. And
an awesome
Dalton
roll.
Can make me. Yeah, you succeeded, and Dalton can make me an unmodified recon roll because he's got his head, out of the vehicle. Excellent. So, you drive in. Every now and again, you get the feeling that the dogs might be following you a little bit, but then they melt away. And whatever's happening, they're clearly very nervous. You also quickly work out that there isn't just one pack of dogs in this city. There are lots of different packs of dogs that presumably have their own territories. It is worth noting that animals are alive in this city. That tells you something. But as you're driving in, the Commodore, you artfully steer your way around obstacles that you can't get over, larger trucks, etc., etc. It's definitely tough going. There are moments every now and again where a street is just too obstructed and you have to find another way round, but you're able to do it. You see neither hide nor hair of any human here other than corpses. The only corpses that you ever see that are in any way intact are all elevated. They're either like in a window or they're in an upper story of a building that's had its side blown open. Anything that's on ground level is mangled, eaten, etc. And even most of the ones that are up high are rotten. But you drive forward and you head in towards the center of town. It's very obvious that there are a large number of areas that have got barricades and roadblocks and so forth sealing them off. You also notice that quite a few of the buildings around here are heavily battle damaged. There are obviously a few what used to be very tall buildings that have just been obliterated. And all of the bridges near the center of town have been blown to uselessness. You do notice that there appears to be one area off of a plaza near what would have been a town hall that has got checkpoints and barriers that go up and down, and areas where guards would once have interrogated people who wanted to come in and out and demanded papers, that kind of thing. All, of course, now entirely uninhabited, but it's there.
So does Sorrel notice any fuel?
You don't notice any fuel, but what these areas appear to be leading into are buildings where things could be stored. So there's nothing out in the open.
So there's trucks with trailers on them?
There are a couple of trucks. They're largely like flatbed trucks, like 5-ton, 10-ton, rather than articulated trucks or things with trailers. But there are a couple of things with trailers hanging about.
Do they have anything on them?
So you notice on the trailers, well, a couple of the trailers are, you notice with great... Well, first of all, have you gone into the proper compound? Have you driven straight in? Because there are walls around the compound. You can't see what's in the compound unless you go into it.
Yeah, he would go into the compound.
Okay. You drive straight through the little barrier. It's of no obstacle to you. Nobody stops you. There's no challenge. You have to do a bit of funky driving as you drive around what was clearly supposed to be something to defeat someone who's doing exactly what you're doing. But with nobody shooting at you, you just go slowly and it's fine. You get in, and you can see that there are vehicles. Most of them don't have trailers. A couple of them do. Most of the trailers have stuff on them. So it's usually equipment, not so much weapons and ammunition, but engineering supplies, huge amounts of cable, cut logs, shovels, a mobile generator, and various boxes that you can't determine what's in the boxes without opening them.
Okay, I'm gonna turn... so the only entry into this thing is the one that I made?
That's the only vehicle entry. There might be one or two other ways that you could get in on foot.
Okay, I'm gonna do a U-turn to actually face the MM1 to block anyone to coming in.
Okay.
And so we can actually have a quick exit if need be.
Okay.
So I'm gonna suggest everyone to we're gonna have to suss out if any of the vehicles have any fuel. And if they do, can we actually put... That's another thing. Yeah, dogs. Just keep a lookout for any dogs in the area. Is there any dogs before we get out?
So, yeah, you don't hear or see any. Of course, they could just be quiet. They could be a couple of streets away and you wouldn't notice, but there are certainly none that can be seen or heard immediately.
Okay. Can we, I need to know if there's any fuel in the vehicles and see what in the containers over there, and see if we can get some of the equipment and see what's in the building as well.
Okay. So, is anyone staying in the M113, or are you all getting out and having a look around?
If Rostogam has had time to treat the lieutenant's arm, would influence some of her decision to go or stay.
Yeah, you can give me... You'll certainly have time. In order to determine its successfulness, you can give me a straight medical aid roll.
I mean, this is assuming that the lieutenant will let me look at the wound.
Yeah, Sorrel will be staying in the M113
Okay.
to cover us.
Yep.
He's in the turret. So, yeah. It gives us a little bit more of a chance.
Is Soberslau allowing Rostogram to tend to his wounds?
Yes.
Fantastic. Then yeah, give me that straight medical aid roll.
Alright.
Fantastic. You are successful. Dr. Rostogram, she applies bandages. You're very low on stuff like disinfectant, but you do the absolute best that you can. This doesn't heal any immediate damage, but it does allow the sort of 1 point per day healing to happen. If for whatever reason there hadn't been successful medical aid, you just wouldn't be healing at all. So that's all good. So I'm guessing that means that everyone other than Sorrel leaves the APC?
Yeah.
All right.
Rostogam will go.
You can all, except for Dalton, make me recon rolls as you're searching the boxes and the vehicles and so forth for fuel.
Okay, recon roll.
Correct.
Oh, really nice.
Oh, well done. Okay, so Soberslau is looking around, doesn't find anything immediately useful, is distracted by the large amounts of cable on one of the trailers. However, Dr. Rostogram and the Commodore, you climb up into various vehicles. One or two of them, none of them start, but so you can't turn it on and then look at the fuel gauge. However, when you open the hood, you determine that some of them are probably just flat batteries. You open up fuel tanks and sort of put in dipsticks, and you can quickly determine that yes, there is fuel in several of the vehicles, quite a lot of it. You also find in the back of some of the vehicles, and also, weirdly enough, like on the ground near the backs of the vehicles, various different supplies, some of which is fuel. You also notice the remains of corpses around some of these supplies.
Okay. The one thing I want to do is to make sure to get the fuel to top up our M113.
Okay.
To make sure that we have enough fuel for a while.
All right. Do you do that before going into the building, or do you do it after searching? Okay.
Before, because 100%, anytime you go into a building, obviously we need a quick exit.
Exactly.
Makes sense. You spend quite a bit of time. It's not going to be quick because you're using little jerry cans and other bits and bobs. You're not using a proper fuel pump. But you are slowly able to transfer appropriate fuel over to the M113. To your delight, this entirely fills the tank. You also have quite a bit of fuel left afterwards. You're unable to measure it, but you can tell that there's a lot of fuel left over.
Okay, can we attach a trailer to the end of our vehicle?
I'm going to say yes. I'm not like the M113 isn't built for it, but it's relatively easy to do.
The idea, I go to everyone, I go, well, if we attach a trailer and get majority of the fuel onto the trailer, we can easily tow it back.
Seems kind of odd that the Major sent us out here to gather fuel without giving us appropriate containers to get it back.
Yeah, I know.
Well, on that note, one of the things that is very obviously parked up is a fuel container lorry, a military one. But yeah, there is a lorry for fuel here. It's in the compound.
Oh.
He's probably thinking, a lorry full of fuel. Okay, if we take that lorry back, one of us has to drive the lorry and the other has to drive the M113.
Yeah. It's very easy for you to tell. Actually, no, Soboslav, give me a tech roll.
Right.
As you're sort of looking around the lorry. Switch tabs. Okay, yeah. Soboslav, looking at the fuel containers lorry's engine, the battery is dead, and you can also tell that there are a couple of other bits and bobs that are corroded and worn through. In the base that you're currently in, you're almost certain to be able to scavenge up replacement parts. That's going to be easy. It will, however, take time, and you're going to have to find a way of jumping or charging the battery.
Well, fixing the thing is going to take a while. Its battery's dead, and there's several aspects of it that has been worn off. So, scavenging the parts to replace it is easy, but getting it to be put in, as well as jumping the thing, will definitely take some time. That's going to be the problem here.
Okay, we're gonna have to, if we use the battery to juice it up enough to actually, from the M113, can we actually do that?
Yeah. The M113's got enough juice to it, and you can easily scavenge and so forth the cables necessary to do that here. As I said, it'll take a bit of time for the engine to be fixed. Soboslav's definitely going to be able to do it, but it's probably going to take you through until the evening.
Yeah, we're going to have to camp here anyway, so...
All right, camping here, So, what do you do to get a place to camp? Do you go inside the building? Do you decide to camp in the compound?
We camp in the compound.
Okay. Are you going to explore the building at all, or are you just going to leave that door closed?
Yeah. We're actually going to explore the... I look at the group and say... Do you want to... I look at the doctor and say, do you want to explore with me? While the Rocky is getting fixed up?
Might as well secure our surroundings.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. There are several doors into the compound, into the building sections. There are big double doors, little entranceways. There's a covered garage with a big roller door. That's all there. What kind of method do you want to use to get in?
He's going to go through the roller door.
Okay.
To see what's down there.
Yeah, the roller door isn't locked. It rattles up noisily, but it does it as you get your fingers in and just haul it up, and light floods into this area that's presumably been sealed away in darkness for a very, very long time. You're aware of scuttling movement as you do this, but it's much smaller than the shadows that you previously saw. You can give me a recon roll if you want.
Yep. I'm going to do that because, yeah.
Okay. Rostergram can also give me that, as she is also there. Okay. So the Commodore, you're worried. Are these other dogs? Are these smaller dogs? What's happening? However, Rostergram can quite readily tell that these are mice and rats. They're just going away as they're bathed in light. And the room that you are confronted with, which has got more doors leading off of it, is a workshop. It's clearly for repairing vehicles. You can see a couple of bodies. Again, these bodies have been eaten away. It's just equipment and bones. But they are pressed up against the door, lying against the wall. There are tools scattered everywhere. But it's here. It's intact. This is a mechanics facility.
He turns back and say, "We found a workshop for you." Officer, we found a workshop.
Oh, really?
So you can repair the truck
Good.
a lot
It won't-
quicker.
It won't actually speed things along, but because this is very, very simple repairs. But
It is
This-
more secure space.
definitely,
Yeah.
Okay. Do you continue on deeper into the building, and you can tell that there's elements of old medieval and Victorian. Medieval's too late. Sorry, too early. Largely Edwardian and Victorian era buildings around here, but
Yep.
that they've been heavily damaged. And this is the knock through of several of them. Purpose-built military-style warehousing is here that's sort of shoved into the space that older buildings used to be in, etc.
I'm going to continue on. And see what door leads to what.
Okay. You go into the corridor, through the door at the back, and you are immediately confronted with a corridor. There are stairs up, stairs down, and a corridor with several doors leading away from you.
I'm going to walk down the corridor and open every single door.
Okay. As you do that, every now and again when you open a door, you're aware of, again, a little scuttling thing running away, but you're aware that these are now mice and rats, and you're a lot calmer. In the rooms, it's largely administrative things, so it's largely desks, paperwork, there are bodies slumped over things. Every now and again you find a bunch of them piled in a corner. One of the rooms that you go into was clearly once a communications room. There's radios everywhere. None of them appear to be working. Some people are at their post, dead. Others are just in states lying on the floor.
I walk over to see what. He's gonna walk back out to. Oh, can he have a look at what's wrong with the
You didn't finish your sentence, Mac.
Does he see what's wrong with the tech?
You can give me a tech roll.
Did okay.
Yeah, you did okay. So it's very difficult for you to tell. An immediate problem is there is no power. However, you get the feeling there might be something more fundamentally wrong with the radios above just there is no power. There are also quite a few orders and pieces of written communication scattered around. You can, however, not understand any of them because you don't read Russian.
He picks up all the paperwork.
Okay, there's a lot of it. So if you keep it on your person, it's going to take up a lot of slack, but a lot of bulk. But you can relatively easily just pop it in the M113.
He's gonna pop it into the M113.
Absolutely fine. And so yeah, this floor is largely those kinds of rooms. You go.
We go downstairs.
You go downstairs. Okay, is anyone going downstairs with you, or is it just the Commodore?
Oh, come along.
Okay, Solarslaw's coming along. Vostogram, are you coming along?
Unless there's a good reason to stay upstairs, she'll stay with the team.
Excellent. So you go downstairs, and you are very quickly confronted with what's clearly a heavily reinforced vault-style door. This thing is thick and tough. Fortunately for you, it is also cracked open.
Okay.
You do, however, feel you can smell something rancid, though, wafting out from behind that door.
Ugh. What is that smell? You guys, can you he covers his mouth and nose with his shirt, and then tries to open the door slowly.
Okay, you slowly open the door. It's incredibly dark inside. You are underground. There is no power, but a little bit of light is still seeping in from the stairwell behind you. As you open the door, I want all three of you to make me stamina rolls. So the
Probably
Commodore
gonna
and
fail.
Rostogram. But the Commodore... okay, so Rostogram is going well. Wolf is an even. Soberslau.
Oh, right.
Yep. I'm gonna probably puke up.
Okay, so Rostogram and Soberslau are fine. It's violently unpleasant as this rancid stench of decay just hits you. Also, like, your eyes feel a little off, but you're fine. However, Wolf, not only is the wretched stench of death just overwhelming, causing you to hack and spew, your eyes sting. This hurts.
Yeah, he covers his eyes and puke up behind him
All right.
against the wall.
So as you are leaning against the wall, vomiting against the concrete, and trying to shield your eyes from this really bitter sting, Rostogram and Soboslao will be able to see into the room. It's only dim light, but you are immediately struck by two things. The first is there is just a pile of bodies in here, haphazardly strewn around. They've clearly been severely eaten, but there is enough bits and bobs of meat left to just have decayed in this essentially limited air supply dark room underground into just weird paste on bone. It is horrendous. And there's a lot of people down here. You also notice something that's much better for your morale. That there is row upon row upon row of floor-to-ceiling boxes, hundreds of Kalashnikovs, ammunition in the mountainous piles. There's RPGs, there's mortars, there's canisters that you haven't even seen. There is huge amounts of food and water and boxes with sort of Red Cross-style medical supply markings on them that you're able to tell immediately, even past the sort of Cyrillic alphabet. This is it. This is the supply cache. You have found it, and it is more than you could ever use on your own.
How long until after he stops spewing up?
Give me another stamina roll.
Hey,
Commodore? I think you better want to see this.
sorry, does that help me a bit?
You kind of get your constitution back. You've got your self-control back. You stop vomiting. Your eyes still really hurt, and you've got enough wherewithal about you to go and look into the room.
He looks into the room.
Mhm.
See
what I just described.
He goes, we just hit the jackpot.
Besides-
Okay. Okay. We're gonna have to get the major on the line. So we might as well go and can we fix up the radios upstairs?
We do that. Dr.
well,
Rostogram, please make
I
me a
can do
medical
that.
aid roll. Hey, Dr. Rostogram, why is the skin on the Commodore's hands starting to blister?
Commodore, your hand.
He looks at his hands.
Hello?
What the heck?
This is the point where Soboslao, your NBC training kicks in. Judging by the fact that you haven't all been immediately affected, it must have lost some potency, but the Commodore is being affected by some kind of chemical agent.
Oh bloody hell! That's a bloody chemical agent.
Oh damn it.
We better get out of this building ASAP. Fuck.
Okay. If we get out of the building.
Okay. Alright, you presumably sprint out of the building as fast as you can.
Yes, and
Yes.
I literally grab the Commodore while we're at it.
Alright. You run out, you get out into the open air, without much more of an incident. What do? You burst out into the open air. The sun is coming down.
There's no way to quickly mitigate the effects of the chemical even with such a brief exposure. We need to do this quickly.
Okay, she can make that attempt.
Yep, you can make me a medical aid roll.
Okay, and if this is an NBC attack,
Yes.
I have my general practitioner training will give a +1 modifier to that roll.
Excellent, so you can improve your dice step by 1.
Yes.
My NBC basically it gives a +1 modifier to stamina for all infection rolls, even with radiation or chemical agents. Also helps me with identification.
Yeah, that's why I just told you what it was.
Yep.
And yeah, you know, vaguely what it was.
Yeah. I like
Okay,
that roll.
excellent. That's a very good roll. That's a very good roll.
Kinda, yeah.
So, yeah. So you immediately start applying. Hang on, looking at the rules and something very quickly. All
My
right. So
NBC
you
take
immediately start,
assistance.
applying various pieces of medical treatment to the Commodore. You are without proper agents to do this. You don't have the proper creams, salves, pills, etc. You do the best that you can without that. You know that those supplies are likely to exist somewhere in that basement. You want to go back into it. But yeah, you do the best that you can. Commodore, the agitation and the irritation appears to ease, but it's still very definitely there. And only time will tell what happens. However, please take 1 point of physical damage, and we'll see what happens as time goes on.
He's gonna go. Okay. Well. Damn it.
Protection there for this.
He goes. Okay. Can you guys we strap somebody up in proper gear to go down?
I'll go down there with the propaganda. Will that be acceptable?
Yeah. Just go and get
I've been properly trained at these kinds of things. definitely
try and
figure
look
out.
for some. Yeah. Can you look for the medications every?
I'll do. Will do.
Yep.
Excellent. I'm just going to give you a little bit of time to think about how and where you're going to get the proper gear as we turn our attention back to Sergeant Gavriel, as you all were left wondering what is going to happen to the Commodore as their skin continues to slowly blister. So carry on.
I was just gonna say, so I was thinking of what I was gonna do, waiting for the Nichols or whoever to come back. I mean, I have been shot in the chest, so unless I'm assuming it's not the heart or the lung or somewhere where it's like almost instant death.
No, this you know that unless something worse were to happen to you, this is a survivable wound.
Okay, because one of the things I wanted to try to do was pretend to be more injured than I am, but I don't know if that would do anything. I don't know if they would care enough to do anything, since they clearly haven't taken me to sick bay or whatever. So there was a third thing I want to do. Do I, when I look on the floor, I mean, is it void of anything useful, or do I see like a screw lying there?
It is bare concrete and a puddle of water.
Okay. Then I guess I'll just wait until Nichols comes back.
Okay. Well, eventually, Lieutenant Nichols will come back. A couple of other people will come with him, and he will simply say, "Is there anything else that you wish to say to explain your behavior, or any other information that you feel that you can give us that might persuade us to save your life or treat you mercifully?"
Well, I mean, let's start. I think Gabriel is, unless there's something preventing him from doing it, he's probably on his knees, leaning in either forward or to the side, kind of trying to rest, probably. But so he's not gonna like particularly be energetic when Nichols enters and asks him that, but he is gonna look up and just shake his head negative, and basically just say, "No, but it's kind of sad that all I wanted to do was talk to the major, and now you're all probably gonna never mind. You'll see."
You may get that chance. On your feet, and two guards. There are quite a few guards in the room now.
Yeah,
Two guards will move forward. These ones will not have rifles. In fact, these ones won't have pistols either. Like nothing that you can grab.
Right.
You'll still, however, be bound.
Yeah.
And they'll one on each side, and they'll haul you up to your feet, unchain you from the thing that was behind you, which now you can see was like just a pipe.
Yeah, I figured.
And you are dragged out of the room. This time you're not blindfolded. You can see, as you're taken down some corridors, that Lieutenant Adams, with a room that appears to have been conspicuously left open, is sitting at a table being questioned. He doesn't appear to be getting as rough a treatment as you, but you can tell that this is not a friendly conversation.
Yeah.
And you are
What can I do some kind of just quick perception check as to like I don't care about the person interrogating him, but like what is he angry, is he like scared, is he sad, like what does he look like?
Lieutenant Adams appears to be a combination of confusion and fear.
Okay, that's it then.
And yeah, you can hear snippets of conversation, but it's all very searching questions about.
Right.
Can you explain your whereabouts at time X and time Y?
Right.
You are dragged up into another room and sat down at a table, still bound. And the Major is in the room, but so is Lieutenant Nichols. There are quite a few guards, and the Major is standing some distance away from you. And you're basically just in your shirt and underpants. That's basically it.
Is my arms tied behind my back, or are they in front of me?
They're behind.
Okay.
Behind your back.
Okay. And you said
and there are also people standing behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're flopped down in the chair.
Okay.
It's very awkward. So, Sergeant, I understand that you wanted to say something.
Oh man, the things the guy's gotta go through to get a meeting with the boss. Okay, you can let Adams go. I was lying about him, but everything else was true.
Why did you lie about Adams? Just to get my attention?
Well, of course. Look what I had to go through to get it. Besides, I mean, you seem like the most reasonable. I look over at Nichols when I say this. I say, you seem like the most reasonable officer in this place, unlike some of these people. So I had to, whittle you down a bit. I couldn't have all the officers after me, so I had to, make sure that I could get you with an audience with at least, one or two of them out of the way. But now that this is done, can I actually have a conversation with you?
Say your piece, Sergeant.
So, initially, when I came to you, I just wanted to exchange. I'll be honest, I had an ulterior motive. I wanted to give you some intel in exchange for a seat at the table, field promotion to lieutenant, and then, go from there. But your buddy here, and I just gestured to Nichols well, I can't with my thumb, so I do it with my head. Your buddy here decided that little bit of information, which really isn't much, was worth my toe and getting shot. So now, basically what's going to happen is I'm going to be held prisoner or mysteriously killed, and then my friends will find out and probably kill you. So we can reverse all that, though, if we just talk it out and figure out what your long-term plan is. I know you want to go out and take... Sorry, in character, or out of character, I'm trying to remember the name of it. Sheskatawa, and...
Yep, that's correct.
And I'll name off a couple other villages, like Crespis, that I know she's interested in. And I say, now, I don't really have a problem with any of that, but your goal, your long-term situation here is very precarious. I'll say that. You've already made enemies of the Poles. You've definitely got the Russians up north, and even some NATO soldiers are questioning your leadership. So that's all I really wanted to talk to you about. It didn't have to go through all this. And that's he'll wait to see what her response is.
Give me a persuasion roll.
He's not trying to persuade her of anything. He's just telling her, his...
Yeah,
Right.
the main bit is some NATO officers are questioning. And it's somewhat true, but okay.
Okay.
So she is just a poker face of nothing
Right.
as you tell her these things. And eventually she will say, I see. And so what exactly is your plan to prevent the necessity of your friends killing me?
Well, honestly, I mean, what you got going on here, you'll probably end up killing them. So I'm not really worried about them killing you. I mean, I'm more worried about me now, as you can see. But I honestly, I didn't even want to be here. And I told your officers earlier, my plans were to get rested up here and then leave. But now, I mean, the only way I could see this working out is, I mean, well, you tell me, Major, how and why did you, with the reputation that you had, ended up in this place? And yeah, you may have the most survivors. Okay, I'll grant you that. But why? How and why did you go through all of what you went through just to more or less become what you were fighting?
She'll be silent for a few moments as though considering her answer, and will eventually say, I have done only what is necessary to look after my men. I would have hoped that you would have been able to understand that, Sergeant.
Oh, I do, and I have no problem with that part. But you made enemies of the people whose country you're in, which means it's only a matter of time before this little thing that you think you have is gone. As I was trying to tell you earlier, when your men decided to cut my toe off, I was trying to help you so that you could get what you wanted with the least amount of bloodshed, but apparently you're more psychotic than I thought, unless your Nichols here went rogue. But I doubt that.
And given where we are, Sergeant, how would you propose that this broader situation involving the local population be solved?
Well, let me ask you a question. Did you know that those Polish people out there that you've got working in the fields are engineers and scientists and other useful people of influence, that they could actually help you more than just, oh, I don't know, working in the field, something they've really never done until you showed up? You've got people that know English, they could be translators. I mean, there's just so much that you could reap from this situation, and you're just letting them boil in their frustration until it's overwhelming, and they have no choice but to fight back, and you'll of course kill them all because you outnumber them, but then other villages will hear of it, and like I said before, it's a no-win situation for you long term.
It is a valid observation, Sergeant, one that I myself have made. I will not pretend to know the details of the lives of all of the villagers here. I do, however, know that some of them are highly skilled, and it is a great shame that they are working in the fields. Unfortunately, we cannot let them closer to any sensitive technology at this time. But once more territory is under our control, we will be able to produce a surplus. Once we have a surplus, as opposed to the shortages that we currently have, then we will be in a position to allow people to use their skills more. We will be in a position to allow them more of the bounty. We will be in a position to live a little closer to how we used to. That is simply not possible at this moment.
So what you're saying is you're at a deficit as far as supplies and resources, which the Poles know, and so do the Russians. And your goal is to try to, spread that out until you can get to a point where you might have a surplus. I mean, as far as I could tell, that's a big might, especially considering what I've already told you, that you have at least 3 factions that don't want you here. So maybe looking at the short term can help you benefit the long term. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to give these people everything. You don't have to, what you don't have to let them in on your inner circle or anything like that, but a little bit goes a long way. I mean, some of them don't even get food, they don't get clean clothes, they don't get supplies that they need, and when you give them a shirt off your back, it means a lot to them, and they trust you more. I don't know if you've ever had to go through anything like that, but trust me, it's a humbling thing when one person gives you something that you need, and they don't ask anything in return. All I'm saying is, you may not be able to win the Poles back because of what the things I've heard that you guys have done. You definitely ain't going to win the Russians over, but like I said to your man here, I'm not the only NATO soldier who happens to think that you're going about this all wrong, and it's only a matter of time before your little paradise goes up in flames. I'm just trying to help. I don't know why it took my toe for you to see that.
She nods and says, "It is a shame that things have come here. You think very sensibly, Sergeant. And once Sister Shower is under my control, I do plan on giving the Poles much of what you just described. There will be surpluses there, or at least I hope there will be. There will also be untouched shops, chiefly, and warehouses, as a result of which there are likely to be extra civilian clothes, more tools, buildings that can be repurposed to actually house people properly.
Yeah, but
All of that lies in Sister Shower."
yeah, but you can't give them that now because most of you're going to have an insurgency now. So you're basically giving the surplus that you claim to want to help them with. They're going to use it against you. So that you can't do that. You've got to, like I said, think more short term with the people you have here. He just well, he can't because he has his hands tied behind his back. But
Yeah.
he basically just shakes his head and says, "Oh, you're not going to listen."
Do you think that the situation is irrecoverable here, that if we were to help the people of this village, that too much damage has already been done and that they will revolt in any event?
I think you're getting to that point. I think that the main thing is they've lost hope, and the next step after that is I have nothing left to lose. Again, I've been there. So then they go and act out, and I'm sure you've seen elements of that in the past. But some of them, like I said, have been talking, which means that if, like I said, if they see someone, whether it's a NATO soldier or whatever, do something small, then they will start to have that hope again, and you can build it, and it will take time, but it's not going to happen the way you think, because you've got, like I told you, Lieutenant Nichols, you got people in your own camp, NATO soldiers that are against you. So, but the good news is if you help out the Polish a little bit more, then you'll get both sides back on your side. You'll get the NATOs and the Polish back on your side. But this mindset of, I'm going to subjugate them now so I can free them later is exactly the kind of mindset that, ended up causing so much chaos and tragedy in the past in other countries. I mean, come on, you've got to see that. He leans forward like he's trying to implore her, like, please, see my point of view.
Yep. She'll continue to be stone-faced, but nods and says, "You speak a great deal of sense, Sergeant, and I will take what you have said into very serious consideration. I have a question for you. Is that when one of my officers asked you to provide information that you suggested that you had, you refused. When he insisted a little more firmly, you refused, and you instead drew a weapon and shot one of my men and assaulted that officer.
But did he die,
Explain to me."
He won't say it like that. He'll say, yes, I did shoot to disable and not kill, because from what I heard, again, may not be completely true, but what I've heard from the Poles and other NATO soldiers in this camp is that you and your officers kind of take the law into your own hands when it comes to justice and getting the answers that you need. I mean, you tortured me for a name that wasn't even real or accurate, so that kind of proves my point. I was basically just defending myself. At least that's how I saw it at the time. And the reason why I didn't give up any names or give up any intel is because the intel is not as important as I made it out to be. I'm just saying that to try, like I said, to try to get, a chair at the table. Give you some intel, and then get a chair at the table, and then maybe give you some more, information later on. But it was all just for me to get my foot in the door. Now I've lost a fifth of it, so that's not happening. But yeah, that's all it was.
She chuckles a little when you say. Yeah, she chuckles a little when you say I've lost a fifth of it. It's a dry chuckle. It's like a little, but you can tell that actually amused her slightly. And she'll say, "You were able to keep yourself together very well, Sergeant. It's a shame that you attempted to get my attention through deception, and that it has cost you."
Actually, I didn't
your
lie.
toe and-
I didn't lie until the toe. Everything I said before that was 100% true.
It's nonetheless a shame. It is such a shame that we have come to this. If only you had given the information to Lieutenant Nichols when asked, and done so without complaint, you would have received my gratitude. Now, we have come to the point where you have shot one of my men. I know you have shot him in a fashion that you believe to be non-lethal, but you know that we do not exactly have all of the supplies in the world here. Any wound can be lethal. Anything can become infected. We lack the necessary tools to reliably fend off such infections. She shakes her head. Says, no, it is alas, I suspect, too late. And she looks at you and says, "You're a survivor, aren't you, Sergeant Gabriel?"
Well, I used to think so until, this morning.
You are used to doing whatever it takes. Am I right in saying that?
I have my lines, but typically.
Now, imagine this. You have been captured, beaten, mildly tortured, and you are then let go. Why would you not seek your revenge? Why would you ever trust and work with the people who had so badly treated you?
Well, he thinks about it for a moment, and hopefully it comes across that he's actually thinking about it and not trying to come up with a lie, because he's not. But he thinks about it for a moment, and he says, actually, that's a good point. I guess if you took my advice seriously and actually implemented some of the policies that I suggested, then I would have no need to lash out. I might have to deck Nichols a couple times, but other than that, it'd probably be fairly amiable. I'll definitely have to apologize to Lieutenant Adams. I kind of feel bad for him. But if you didn't, then you better kill me now, because I'll probably come back for all of you.
She nods her head and says, "And this concern regarding the treatment of the local civilian population, is this a concern that the compatriots who just drove off to Sestashower also share?"
Not really, although I don't think they went to Sestashower. I think they went to that other place, and I got to look at it so I can remember the name of it.
Spoke.
Yeah, I think they went to Kluxbork, to meet some other NATO soldiers, but they might have took your mission seriously. I don't think there's anything there, but they might have taken it seriously. As for what they believe, they're the kinds of people that go along to get along, and if they were in my way, I'd do to them what I do to you. So I have no qualms with whatever happens to them.
Give me a persuasion roll.
Come on, C, work out for me this time.
Ooh, okay. She will say, My information suggests that there are no NATO troops in Glucksburg. However, I believe you speak the truth. And she'll make a gesture and summon someone over, like whisper in their ear, and they disappear. They go out the room and whoosh.
Which
You
part?
can't make out.
Which part does she think
Pardon?
Which part does she think I'm telling the truth about?
That they went to Glucksburg.
Oh, okay.
And so you can probably assume that she's sending some people that
Yeah.
way, or at least checking it out.
Yeah.
And she will, however, say, very, very nearly had me persuaded, Sergeant, until you made mention of having to assault, once again, Lieutenant Nichols. I understand your drive. He did remove a toe. And you seem to have some deep animosity with him. But Lieutenant Nichols has been with me for a very long time, and I can have no animosity, no dissent between my officers. And it is clear that that animosity is going to exist between you two. And I can't have that. He waggles a finger disapprovingly. As such, she reaches into a pocket of one of her pouches and she draws out a little piece of paper. She makes a couple of notes with a pencil, and then from a little flick of her wrist, it's clear that she's signing something. Do you have anything else left to say, Sergeant Gabriel?
I think I've said all I have to say.
Very well. Could you please send for Lieutenant Adams? And then somebody else will leave, and she won't say another word to you. There'll just be complete silence for several minutes until Lieutenant Adams, who doesn't appear physically harmed, but he is very obviously emotionally distressed, will appear.
And out of character, is he the one in the what's the name? In the officers' dinner, who was like looking uncomfortable about everything going on, or was he one of the others who didn't mind?
Yeah, I'll let you decide that, because in my mind, yes, they're the same person.
Okay, then yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay, so yeah, this is the same person, the one who said that hunger will teach you things about yourself, but who is still somewhat uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And Lieutenant Adams, looks very, very afraid. The Major will turn to the Lieutenant, but he's not restrained. He's under guard, but he's not restrained. And the Major will turn and say, "Well, Lieutenant Adams, I have just been told that the allegations against you are entirely false and have been retracted by this man. And I believe him when he says that they are entirely false. I have also been passed a note that suggests that your responses to questions were entirely coherent. I thank you for your cooperation, Lieutenant. I thank you for bearing with us in this difficult time." He sort of looks very nervous. He nods his head a couple of times. And says, thank you, Major. Of course, I'm always willing to work with you and assist you in any way. Takes a step forward, puts a hand on his shoulders. "I know you are, Lieutenant. I know you are. And that is why I am going to give you an opportunity. An opportunity for catharsis, revenge, perhaps, against the man who put your life in jeopardy by making false accusations against you and assaulted another one of your fellow officers, somebody who very nearly resulted in the deaths of 2 of my loyal men. You will command the firing squad." And Lieutenant Adams sort of gives you the side eye in a kind of like, what's going on kind of side eye.
He'll just smirk.
But then looks over to the Major and says, "Yes, of course, Major, of course. When is the matter to proceed?" She takes out the piece of paper and says, "I have just signed the death warrant. Arrange 5 people, take them to the village square. The sentence is to be carried out immediately." "Yes, Major." And he disappears to make those last few arrangements. Meanwhile, she'll turn to Sergeant Gavriel and say, "It's a pleasure having a conversation with you, Sergeant. If you'll excuse me, I must return to my duties." And she goes to walk away, but is there anything you want to do at the last moment?
Not really. I mean, he was going to make a snarky remark, but I don't know if it's worth it, to be honest. Not with her.
Okay. Yep, so Major Samantha Strathford leaves. And I'm just going to give you... You can take a moment to think about it. Do you wish to exercise a absolutely not, no, I do not wish my character to die moment, or are you happy to go along with things?
Well, I mean, is this like a... If I say that I don't... Is this a thing where it's like, once we get past this point, there's no real way to get out of it? Or is this a point where we basically continue role-playing up until... Like, if I can't think of anything, that's fine. But then up until I actually get shot, because I know there's some games where it's like, once you get to this point, there's not really any roles after that. It's just it's a cutscene essentially.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. At any point, you can always say, "I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this role. I want to try this thing. I want to struggle." Right. There won't be a moment where it turns into a cutscene and you lose control. Mm-hmm. This is more just a sort of general. Are you okay with
what time
character
of day
death? Effectively,
I mean, it depends on a lot of things, but yeah, what time of day is it?
It is. I want to say it's roughly the same time as it is in the camps in the other scene. So it's the sun is coming down.
Okay. I guess I'll ask the major as she's leaving. Do I get a last meal?
Looks at you and says, "We are very short on supplies." And we'll continue walking unless you really get her attention.
Okay. Now I'll let her go, and then after she's gone, I'll just ask Adams or Nichols, whoever's still there. I mean, do I at least get final words? After I'm tied up, do I get something?
Of course. Adams is gone, but Nichols is in the room, and Nichols is out. "Of course you do, Sergeant. You will be permitted. You can say anything here. You can say anything you wish at the stand. It will all be suitably noted."
Okay. In that case, I'll just stand up and go with wherever they're...
Mm-hmm. It's not long. You're left in the room, obviously under guard, but you're left in the room for a couple of minutes until two men who do not appear armed but uniformed pick you up and lead you outside. There's what appears to be a log that's been relatively quickly set up, but it's suitably secured to the ground on a little platform, and it's in the square, and you can see the line of 5 men with rifles waiting, and Lieutenant Adams standing off to their side as you are led to the log, and unless you do anything, are tied to it. And you will also be offered a blindfold.
Who and what is around me?
Okay, so I'll take you to the map of the town.
So it's evening, you said. So I assume there's just
sun's
people
coming down,
going about their business.
A crowd is starting to form, and you are about...
Are any of them Polish?
Yes, 1 or 2 of them are.
Okay.
You are about here, where I just drawn the blue X.
Okay, I'll put my token there. Oh, for some reason, it doesn't want to work. Roll 20, why you do this to me? Alright, so... And how many soldiers are around me?
So there's 5 in the firing squad, not counting Adams. Then there's 2 people who are leading you off. Nichols is also present. and there's a couple of dozen, and increasing as the moments go by, of
Shit.
soldiers who aren't formally part of this, who are forming as part of a crowd.
Okay. Then, as long as there's poles around me and some soldiers, God, I keep trying to put my token on the frickin' thing, but it won't let me for some reason.
Oh yeah, it's because it's slightly off the grid. I'll see if I can do it for you. Hang on.
Okay. Yeah, it might just be it needs me to pick a specific picture or something, which has never happened before. Okay, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
Excellent.
roughly what? There's like 70 people around me or something.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Okay. Do I see my translator there?
I'll say yes. Yes, you do. You also see Robert Crispin and Sarah Tolbeck, who are just put out.
Okay.
They are part of the crowd.
I probably don't know enough Polish to say anything. Dang, y'all are hateful. Y'all really hate this guy. But I probably don't know enough Polish to say anything meaningful to the Poles. So I'll just speak in English because some of them probably know English. But I'll basically just I'll raise my voice after I'm tied up or whatever to the pole. I'll look around, and I'm talking to all of them, even Lieutenant Nichols. I'm not like trying to talk at a specific person. And I'll say, "Well, I didn't see this coming. I'm gonna die. That's cool. That's fine." I look around and I'm saying, "But the war is over, and if you try really hard, you can go home." He's telling that to the Americans, and then he looks over to the Poles and he's like, "You guys stayed. The Poles stayed in this village because this was their home. But you can leave, gather your forces, and come back and retake it, and that's fine because this is your home. But the fact that we're here, I deserve to die because I shot an officer. I'm not denying that, but the fact that we're here, the fact that we're in this position, never should have happened. If only we were the heroes that we pretend to be." And he's gonna look to Crispin and Tolbeck and the Poles and others, and I think I want to try to roll a persuasion to try to get them to do something on my behalf since I can't physically.
Sure.
But yeah,
Marianne?
That's persuasion, I'm guessing.
Yeah, roll a persuasion, and are you sort of hoping that they're going to cry out and attempt to plea on your behalf?
Me as a player, it's for sure. I don't think he particularly cares. I think he's trying to persuade them. He wants to use his death to make them actually, do the right thing, take back their land, whatever you want to call it. He's hoping that they stop being afraid. There's 50 Poles, probably a few decent NATO soldiers. They can leave. They can come back with bigger force. He's hoping they do something other than just stand there and just let the major continue to, run roughshod over everybody. So yeah, that's all that's going to be. But he's going to say, and it depends on, I guess, the role, if it's good enough for them to act now or not. But he's just going to say, I've made a lot of mistakes. Obviously, coming here was one of them. But if my death convinces or persuades the Americans and the NATO to pack up and go home, who constantly say that it's impossible, but with 300 people, I don't think that would be the case. Then I think it's well worth it. And for the Poles, don't ever let anybody take your land. Doesn't matter what flag they're wearing. That's a success. It wasn't great.
Yep, a success. So you say that, and you can tell that Eugenia is shifting around a lot. The other Poles you're not quite sure that your words immediately hit home, but that's largely because they probably don't speak English. Yeah. However, Eugenia, who you know understands, it's clearly affected. But she's sort of like looking away, looking to the floor. Every now and again, she tries to hold eye contact with you, but then looks away again. And it's clear that she kind of wants to melt into the crowd, but she forces herself to stay where she is. And you can also see with her holding her hand is a very young child who is watching, and he's clearly a little upset, but doesn't understand what's going on. He's kind of nervous and afraid. Sarah Tolbeck and Crispin, they definitely don't look happy about this. They are standing next to one another and are actively whispering to one another, and they start melting back into the crowd. You're not quite sure what they're up to, but they're definitely shifting away. But the other soldiers here, they don't really appear to be doing anything. They're clearly, shall I say, slightly on edge at this event. Not so much the idea that somebody could be executed, but more anybody being executed isn't exactly something that sits well with people. And you don't know whether or not this is the first time they've ever had to execute somebody who would have been wearing a US uniform, although you are poignantly not wearing one at this time. However, after a few moments, Lieutenant Adams will walk up and say, "I know those words, and they were well said. Now, would you like a blindfold, or would you not?"
Hell no. And he'll say, because I feel like he would learn this term in Polish regardless of whatever else he was learning. But what I posted in the chat, which I don't even know if I should even try to pronounce it because I'd probably butcher it. But in Polish, he just kind of shouts, "Live free or die hard."
Right. Okay. All right. He says that out loud in Polish. You've definitely learnt that phrase. There's a bit more murmuring, but Lieutenant Adams will just give you a respectful nod, put the blindfold away, and go back to the men. He'll take his position at their side and say, "Attention!" They come to attention. "Take aim!"
He'll look
The
up.
rifles are leveled at you.
He'll look up at the sky and say, "Forgive me, and forgive them." And if that's the last thing he says, then I'm cool with it.
Fire! And Gavriel dies as he is hit by multiple rounds in the chest. Death is instantaneous as your heart is pierced. And eventually your head will just flop forward as you hang limp, tied to the post. I think, with 4 minutes to go to normal session end time, as probably when we will end this session, unless there's anything anybody wants to wrap up immediately.
They want to have a party.
Oh, I wanted to finally get back and find out he's dead.
We're not going to know till like another day that this is happening.
Yeah, it'll take you guys like a shift to get back anyway.
It will.
I'll be happy to find out. If I find out he's dead, I'll be like, yes, finally.
I don't know why, honestly. I really don't.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'm looking up the rules on buddies here. It's like, well,
I put none.
We didn't see anything.
So. Yeah, I just put none in mine.
Gabrielle is definitely the person she's interacted with the most. So if everybody, he's going to be her buddy. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure she would be the only one that really gives a shit. In fact, it sucks, but I'm pretty sure all of your characters would just be like, "Oh, that's fine," and go along with whatever the major has planned. I had bigger plans. I had my plans were either to take out the major and kind of put the Commodore in command, or take you guys out and be in command myself with the major.
See,
Yeah, but I wasn't gonna
Yeah,
execute people. I wasn't gonna kill you
yeah.
guys.
You,
I was just gonna be like,
you
yeah,
had
the
a you
Commodore
had
is
a
kind of messed up. Let's put him in prison or something.
you had a very good chance to all of this. The sort of the moment where I went, oh no, I don't know how he's going to get out of this, is when you shot the guy in the
Yeah,
leg.
I figured that was the moment.
When you
Yeah.
did that, I thought,
Well, I was thinking about it at the time, and I was like, I looked at like in my head, I was like, I looked at Nichols, and I was like, I don't like this guy. Like I really just don't like this guy. And I was thinking like, if this is the kind of guy, because I don't know who her captain is, who her XO is, but I was like, if this is the kind of guy that the major trusts with information, then I don't really want to give him any information, whether it's true or false, if I can help it, because whatever I tell him is going to be used against the group. So I was like, I just don't want to give him any. So I was like, I'll just try to leave. And then they were like, no, we're gonna force you, basically. And I was never, even when I was in the military, I was never a big fan of anyone like trying to force me to do anything out of character, and that kind of went into Gabrielle's character a little bit. And I basically was like, that was kind of like the decision making, because I was like, I either can go all the way to like, yeah, just go along to get along, and give them some false information or whatever, and just whatever, even give up the Commodore, and maybe try to get in on the major's good side, or I can completely screw all that up and basically just try to escape and try to like help the group, which was, if I had survived and got away, I was going to run to the group or steal a vehicle and go to the group and help them or warn them or whatever. Hopefully Master Creep, hopefully the Doctor, you guys do what I asked you guys to do, which you probably won't, but otherwise I don't think that village is going to be standing in a week. But
yeah, and on that theme, because I think I saw this in the text roleplay, but it wasn't expressly addressed, but I'll allow this to be essentially retconned because it wouldn't have affected anything in this session, which is, was a certain item put in a postbox as you drove along?
Well, you guys had already said you went around it, so that's why I was like...
Yeah, A, we went around, and B, actually, Rostringham might have talked to Sergeant Dalton, or sorry, well, yeah, Sergeant is the correct address, right?
Yeah.
Sorrel, for that ranking. Because I almost put this in the text role play, but I didn't. But she's kind of like, well, warn them about what? And like, is it a warning to leave or is it a warning to attack?
Well, he specifically didn't tell you anything because he didn't want you to be involved in that part of it. He wanted you to put it in there, and then they find it, and then they leave. They go to Seskasawa. You guys would all meet up and be one big happy family. That was his plan in his head, and he just thought, if Rostringham doesn't know what it means, it's fine because she's just doing what I asked her to do, and that's all she needs to do. But yeah, if that didn't happen, then that's completely understandable. Because like you said, you guys went around the village, so I don't know if there was a way for you to...
out of character, in that mailbox, but in character, it would depend very heavily on what Sergeant Dalton would tell her. Because here's the deal, like,
I think
Gabriel,
you know what he would say.
Because Gabriel always tells Rostringham, I don't trust anybody.
Yeah, he don't.
So it's like, okay, well, but he keeps asking me to do stuff.
He trusted you. He just didn't.
Like,
he just didn't tell you that because he.
Yeah. See, we can have this discussion out of character, but in character, it's never come up. So
yeah,
she's really
I
just
know.
like.
I was hoping to come up way later, like character development, But because basically he was keeping Rostringham at a distance because as far as he was concerned, she was the only person that was worth saving, like out of this whole mess, and so he's trying to keep her at a distance and basically like make sure, like help her and she can help him, but like she doesn't have to know all the horribleness about it, and that's why he kind of regretted her finding out about the mutiny or whatever, because he wanted to keep her out of that as well. But ultimately he thinks what's going to end up happening is, well, he thought what was going to end up happening is if he trusted too much, or not trusted, but if he told Rostringham that he trusted her or acted overtly like he trusted her, then basically everyone would use her against him, which, she's probably the only person that he would have actually like not died for, if that makes any sense. Like he would have fought for her. He wasn't going to fight for the translator because, he just met her like 2 days ago, but if any danger came to her, he probably would have been more vibrant as far as fighting. But you know, yeah, he definitely doesn't. He didn't trust or like the Commodore, but he didn't have anything particularly against him, except for the fact that he didn't think he was a particularly good leader. But that's, that could have been a player thing, so that's why he didn't really go too hard on him. As far as Soberslaw, he didn't. I mean, he liked Soberslaw all right. He didn't, for a lieutenant, he thought he was okay. He didn't really care one way or the other about him, but like he didn't want to put him in danger if he didn't have to. As far as Sorrell's character, Dalton, he has like no respect for him whatsoever, because to me, anybody who continues fighting a war and wants to continue fighting war after apocalypse happened is like, I don't want nothing to do with them because their priorities are kind of skewed. So he just kind of wanted to basically survive, but he didn't want to survive and compromise his morality, which was what would have happened in the Major's camp. So he was trying to find a way out, whether it's by boot, truck, or bullet, and this time it happened to be bullet. So yeah, he just wanted a way out because there was no way he was going to survive and keep his quote-unquote humanity. But I look forward. I'm not joining this. I'm not going to continue playing this session, but I'm going to watch and listen to the sessions going forward, and it's going to be interesting to see how you guys do. Because I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be funny, but I just worry. I worry about y'all.
Sure thing. And when you do want to create another character, if you do, absolutely free to drop back in.
Yeah. It might be a while.
That'll all be.
I really like Gabriel. It might be a while. I really liked him.
Yeah, there were so many moments where I was thinking, oh, how can I save him?
No, don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
the only thing is,
yeah.
with this system though, it's like it's a do or die system. It's like if I was going to ask you earlier, like we've seen a 45 caliber gun kill 2 people at a great distance, where in real life it'd be almost impossible, or if not impossible. So if I walk up behind someone, stand like a foot away from their head, and they're like bound so they can't turn around and take the weapon, and there's a bullet in it, and I've just cleaned the gun, and then I pull the trigger and I don't get any dice, does that mean I completely fail at shooting someone a foot away? So like,
yeah, so the rules around shooting are assuming a combat scenario where people are bumbling around and free to move and all of that kind of thing. If somebody is completely tied up, unable to resist at all, and you just
right,
muzzle on the back of their head pulling the trigger, I'm just going to say that's an automatic head crit, which is just death.
Yeah.
Unless it's I say just death. I'd probably roll on the head crit table, but
right.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, that's just death.
Yeah, no, I get it. But yeah, no, this system just seemed very unforgiving when it came to stuff like that. So I was kind of after, during the torture scene and everything like that, the only time I really thought like, oh shit, there's nothing I can do to get out of this, because I obviously, as this whole thing's going on, I'm like, oh, I've got plans, I can do this, I can do that. But the only time I was like, oh wait, I might not, was right before you asked me if it was okay to kill my character, and she was basically like kind of mean mugging me, like, yeah, you're basically dead. And I was just thinking like, oh wait, I might not be able to get out of this. But then even when I was being led to the post, I was like, well, if I can get enough if I can roll well enough, which ultimately is what it comes down to, unfortunately, if I can roll well enough, I can get enough people to maybe, at the very least, I can get Adams to not do what he's doing, or something like that. But yeah, alas, the dice have dictated I'm dead.
But your final words, or Gavriel's final words, did have an effect. It was not a wasted success roll. It wasn't enough to prevent the inevitable in that moment.
Makes sense.
But it has caused something to happen. And you will hopefully see the results of that play out maybe across the next couple of sessions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and out of character.
Well,
out of character. Like, as far as the Major's concerned, like the only reason he stepped up, to try to prevent what was going on. Well, number one, he thought the Commodore's plan of a slow burn was just ridiculous. Number two, the only reason, because he would have done similar to what she would have done. Like, if he was going to survive and he had 300 people, he would have done pretty much the same thing. The only difference was, like, her brutality towards executions and all this other stuff is, like, that got to the point where it was like, And her plan of like, I'm gonna get a surplus and then distribute it afterwards. I'm like, it's not a dumb plan. It's just it relies on trusting that everyone beneath you are gonna let you get to that point. Whereas he did not think that was gonna happen. He thought she would have been taken out even if he wasn't there. She would have been taken out long before that. So he was actually, like I said before, trying to like help her if she could help him. It just didn't go that way.
Yeah, and you did actually cause her to slightly change her plans. So when, well, I won't tell you how it has caused her to change her plans, but your words did have an effect, and it's one of the reasons why it was a case of it is sad that it has come to this, because she did think you were a sensible person, and had, for whatever reason, Gavriel just told Lieutenant Nichols all the information, everything would have been fine, and your plan would probably have worked.
Well, the problem is, this is like the third time that has happened where I've had a plan, and then because of one dice roll, I'm like, fuck it, go all out, and then it makes things worse. So if I do make a character in the distant future, it'll probably be someone who's a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not impulsive, but like the opposite of that, whatever someone that is better at being able to, go with the slower approach, the more methodical approach, rather than just you're a bad person, me kill you kind of thing.
A bit more patient and reasoned.
Yes, patient. Yeah, patient and methodical. Those are definitely the words. I mean, Gavriel, like I said in the text role play, Gavriel's character was not always like that. Like when he was a detective, he was very go-getter, like take down the bad guys, had a very strong sense of morality, very much a spiritual person. He was Hebrew, like he was very much a different kind of lighter person. But alas, a cult got a hold of him, and now he has seen the error of his ways, as far as like nothing matters, and if I die, who cares? So now that's kind of why he was led to that point of view. So he was kind of already damaged before all of this even started. So maybe whoever I make next time won't be as jaded.
Indeed. Well, I hope. Obviously, I hope everyone had a good time, or as good a time as they can.
When they're dead.
When they're dead. Seem to enjoy it. Turning to the other group, the group in Sester Shower, any questions? Any comments?
Well, Master
questions, comments about what exactly?
Well, just the session, anything at all. Just the only reason why I was remaining silent for a few moments was as Sorrel was typing something. He's wanting me to make a server. But if there is nothing, I'm actually just going to read what you wrote there for a moment, Greeble, just because there's one thing I will need to clarify.
Yeah, and I see, and this may be a complete misrepresentation, on my end, but from what I can see from Dalton's character he's very much more the gung ho kind of by the books NCO than Gavriel was. When I first joined the military, I was like that for about a week, and then I was like, oh yeah, there's got to be some flexibility when dealing with things, and that's where they clashed. Is he was more inflexible than Gavriel. I think if everyone would have came together, and I'm not blaming you guys, it's definitely Gavriel's fault for being dead, but if everyone had actually come together and agreed on like what was going on and what a plan to go forward, and instead of coming up with different ways of going about more or less the same thing, then it would have probably worked out better. But Gavriel, like I said before, Gavriel did not think the Commodore's plan was going to work, and he wanted to get in there, try to get a seat at the table, get close to her that way, rather than trying to seduce her through friendship or relationship or whatever. He wanted to kind of get in there and actually try to help. Maybe get with Lieutenant Adams, be like, hey, what's going on? Let's try to make this better. And then if nothing worked, then he would have been like, okay, military tribunal, we're going to arrest her, make her crimes known to everybody and anybody who and probably the captain too, basically whoever was involved. And because the problem with the current soldiers is if they it's a desensitization thing. So like you see your boss do something horrible and you're like, oh shit, that's horrible. Do it a couple more times and you're like, okay, well it's just the norm now. And that's kind of what's happened. It looks like to these soldiers is they obviously didn't start out this way.
Yeah, indeed. And one of the things that the Major does, and you've seen some evidence of this, although only Gavriel has seen evidence of this, and so he's not going to be in a position to share this info, is Adams was a bit wavering, and there's more than one reason why the Major gave him command of the firing squad. It wasn't just to give him like a sense of revenge, and
it was to prove his
and
loyalty,
to show,
basically.
Partly that, although not so much. An element of it was, here, I trust you, here's a reward, etc. But also, there's now blood on his hands.
Right. So
he can't turn
exactly.
back.
Yeah. So it basically puts him in the same boat as her, or at least that's the viewpoint of everybody. I doubt Gavriel would see it that way, even if he was alive. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I'm just going to clarify. Oh, please, Kriebel, carry on.
Because to clarify a bit on my statement too, so Rastagam has been very much like, okay, I'll do what you say, Gabriel, and then Chris Peace came along, and things went rather poorly there from her perspective. So she's also kind of like,